Haven't seen this in over a decade. In fact, you got to go all the way back to 2005. That was a Nebraska College World Series team, and that was a 48-win Creighton team, too. So the back in the days of Johnny Rosenblatt Stadium, have we seen these two teams come into a series with this type of winning percentage? And it's interesting, John, we've seen the teams sort of switch roles. We've known Creighton as a small ball team. We've known Nebraska to kind of light it up offensively. And now you're looking at Nebraska's more of the small ball team. Creighton's got the big offensive numbers. But as you and I both know, it's going to come down to what happens on the mound, how many arms we see, and which pitcher can stay effective in pumping strikes.
We got a left-hander for Nebraska, Will Walsh, headed to the mound. He had a great relief appearance last year against the Bluejays versus Malachi Vitak. Now, how long will Malachi go? Probably 3 to 4 to maybe 5 outs. We will see. But Creighton's bullpen a little bit stressed after what happened this past weekend against Charleston Southern. We'll have all of that, your lineups and first pitch coming up next from Charles Schwab Field. We'll be back with the start of today's game right after this. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Ben will want to make sure every break in game is 1 minute because they won't give us as much time between innings. Well, as we mentioned, it is a cool night here in downtown Omaha, but it is still very playable. We've got a high blue sky above, got a few puffy clouds up and around the ballpark, but for the most part, looks like a pretty nice day to play baseball. The wind is blowing out. As we take a look at the flags out in straightaway center field, they are almost blowing straight out to center, maybe fading just a bit towards right field, according to the National Weather Service. We got northwest winds at 22, gusting to 32 miles an hour, so it would help a fly ball out today, or at least early on tonight, here between these two squads. Let's take a look at your starting lineups for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It'll be Case Sanderson to lead things off at DH, hitting .368 on the season. Riley Silva in center, batting second. Silva's been hit 14 times this year by a pitch. He has stolen 16 of 17 bases. Cole Evans is in right field batting third. Tyler Stone at first batting cleanup. Josh Karen, the catcher, batting fifth. Garrett Anglem, the left fielder, batting sixth. Joshua Overbeek, the third baseman, batting seventh. Dylan Carey at short, batting eighth, and batting ninth and playing at second. It'll be Rhett Stokes in the field behind left-hander Will Walsh. For the Blue Jays, who are out in the field defensively, Tate Gillen will lead things off in center. It'll be Nolan Sailors in left batting second. Nolan Clifford back in the lineup after being out several weeks with an injury. He returned last weekend and had a great series, hitting .532. The shortstop batting third. Teddy Dieters in right batting cleanup. Kobe Canales, the DH, batting fifth. Will McLean at first batting sixth. Batting seventh and catching Hogan Helligo batting eighth, and playing third is Ben North, and the second baseman is Kyle Hess. He bats ninth. And you take a look at Malachi Vitak on the bump tonight for Vitak, a 2-0 record, making his 10th appearance, first start of the year. Again, not expected to go very deep tonight, Nick. Maybe an inning, maybe two. It depends really on how this first inning goes.
Yeah, and you saw what happened with the pitching over the weekend. You're looking for 6 to 9 outs, but it's also going to be about the pitch count here, trying to establish a strike zone early. Got a little buzz in this stadium for the first time in a while. This is going to be exciting. Let's see how these two teams go.
Yes, it is. The fans have filed in. Pretty decent crowd to begin the night's proceedings. And the first pitch is in there for strike one. The umpires tonight, Jason Harstick calling the balls and strikes. Matt Ossenfort at first. Brian Solier is the umpire at third. And the 0-1 pitch is downstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Case Sanderson hitting .368, no home runs, 9 runs driven in. He's making his 10th start of the season. The 1-1 is hit in the air towards center, drifting back on it with that wind blowing, and drifting over the left fielder Nolan Sailors will take it in front of Gillen for out number 1. I was watching BP today, Nick, and Nebraska and Creighton both had players stationed in the seats knowing there were probably going to be a few gopher balls hit today with that wind blowing out during BP, and sure enough, they were a little bit busy.
John, we've seen this ballpark continue to travel well lately, even with the wind somewhat blowing in, or if we're getting a little bit blown out to left. It's continuing to play for the hitters right now.
Here's Riley Silva, good guy to keep off the base paths, as we mentioned. He's been hit 14 times, only walked 8. With 87 at-bats to his name. He has struck out 10 times. 1 ball, no strikes to the stolen base leader for the Big Red, and he pops it foul, back and out of play.
See Malachi really try to work that cutter. He's got the slider. Fastball going to come in right around 91 on his best stuff there, but that cutter is going to be a weapon tonight.
Here's the 1-1. And showing Button getting it down, but over to cover, the pitcher Vitak has it in a pretty routine play, trying to drag that bunt up the first base line, but he needed to hug that line a little bit more to make that a more challenging play. Instead, it just goes as a routine 1-3 putout.
This is the one thing that you're going to see Nebraska do a lot more than what we're used to. And you remember, they're replacing 2 outstanding players in Max Anderson. And when you saw what they had with Bryce Matthews as well, this is a team that's not afraid to put the ball down on the ground, really force the issue with the defense.
It's really kind of amazing as Cole Evans stands in and waves and misses at the off-speed pitch. It's 0-1. These teams have almost kind of flipped their offensive profile to a degree. I wouldn't say Nebraska's gone totally small ball, but they come into this game tonight with more sacrifice bunts, as this one's punch foul at the plate, and it's quickly 0-2 on Evans. They come into this game, and I've been doing these Nebraska-Creighton games for over 20 years. I don't remember any time when these two teams have played that Nebraska had more sacrifice bunts than Creighton. Here's the 0-2. Just miss low.
And talking to Will Bolt before the game, it was one thing that he mentioned when you're replacing that type of offense a year ago with 2 bats, you're putting it more on all 9 guys. So however they can put themselves in a situation to manufacture runs, they're going to do that.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and defending the outside corner. Looked like he may have had that cutter just off the edge of the plate, and just protecting the edge of the plate, Cole Evans sprays it foul into some of the partisans up the first base line. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody aboard. We're just underway, Nebraska and Creighton. And this one is hit in the air, left field, coming over, and there to make the catch is Nolan Sailors, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Malachi Vitak against Nebraska. It will be Gillen, Sailors, and Clifford against Will Walsh, as we head to the bottom of the first. No score. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. That was me. So Will Walsh heads to the mound for Nebraska, the lefty with a 3-0 record, making his 6th start of the year. He's made 1 relief appearance, 27 in the 3rd innings, 33 hits, 13 earned runs. A great strikeout to walk ratio, 21 strikeouts, only 2 walks. The defense behind him, it's Anglem, Silva, Evans in the outfield, Stone and Stokes on the right side of the infield, Carey and Overbeek on the left side of the infield, and the gaining experience quickly, Josh Caron, one of the best catchers in the Big Ten Conference, behind the dish tonight. But this left-hander last year came into this spot, or this game we'll call it, the first game of this 3-game series, had to replace an ineffective starter and went 6 innings of relief, giving up 3 runs on only 2 hits. But unfortunately for him and his teammates, he was tabbed with the loss. A late rally by the Blue Jays against their bullpen. Tate Gillen to lead things off for the Jays. And the first pitch is high and outside, ball 1. Gillen hitting .337, 2 home runs, 24 runs driven in, and 26 walks this year for Gillen versus only 12 strikeouts. There's a pitch in there for a strike, 1-1. Gillen 17th in the country in walks per game, takes a strike here, and now he's behind in the count, 1-2. He averages over 1 walk per game. Been a great table setter for the Blue Jays. The 1-2 on the outside corner, paints it with a called strike 3. So after missing on the first pitch, Walsh came back and he got him with an off-speed pitch right over the outside corner. A great pitch by Walsh and an opening strikeout.
Yeah, Will Walsh, first things first is he's a competitor, and he's going to challenge these hitters.
First pitch is high and outside to Nolan Sailors.
It's a guy that they know he's been through a lot of different injuries that he's had to overcome, but when he's healthy and he's right, there's nobody more confident on the mound.
The 1-0 brushes him back just a little bit, took something off. And it's 2 balls and no strikes. Nolan Sailors at .375, 4 home runs, 26 runs driven in. Here's the 2-0. That catches the inside corner. 78-mile-an-hour change. The 2-1, he misses low and outside. And it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Nolan Sailors has walked 16 times, striking out 23. 1 out, nobody aboard. Bottom of the first, no score. Line drive, base hit, left field. Nolan Sailors starts the offensive attack with an oppo single ahead of Nolan Clifford.
Yeah, great to see Nolan Clifford back in the lineup. What it does for the lineup, not only offensively but also defensively. What a good piece of hitting there. 2 strikes, he just goes with a pitch, setting it the other way. Nolan Sailors continues to, especially that first time through, get things going for Creighton.
Showing bunt and pulling the bat back, pitch missing low. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Nolan Clifford came back after 3 weeks off due to injury and immediately punched out 7 hits. in the series against Charleston Southern. The lefty is going to throw over to first. This Nebraska defense has only allowed 11 stolen base attempts on it this year.
Yeah, something's going to give in that matchup. Creighton continuing to put the pressure on the defense in that category.
This one will bounce in the dirt. Nice block by Karen, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. And right now, Will Walsh having a hard time finding the strike zone. 2 balls and no strikes. Pretty good lead over at first by Sailors with 11 stolen bases this year. Not moving this time, and this one's going to be skied in the air towards left, down the left field line. Ranging over is Anglum, and he can't make the play in foul territory. I'm not sure if the wind did something with that. Now, the wind, the way it is blowing, should have actually helped him just a little bit. But Anglum had a long way to run from left field, and it looked like he was in position, and he just whiffs on it, it looks like.
Yeah, I was looking to see if he was eyeing the wall there as he was closing in on that, but he was tracking it the entire way, just kind of overran it.
So a break here for the Jays and Nolan Clifford. 2 balls and a strike. Runner at first, and they got him. Picked off. The throw down to second. They've got him. He's out. Good move by Walsh. Nolan Sailors misreading the move off the mound by Will Walsh, and they've got him on the pickoff. It'll actually go 1-3-6 on the pickoff as that one misses up and in, 3-1.
Just trying to be aggressive early and give Will Walsh credit, able to read that.
3-1 misses up and in, and wouldn't you know who won the pony? The guy ahead of you gets picked off at first base.
Whether it's a hit, a walk, sometimes it's a double, you know, hey, you're going to score that runner. Yeah, that's how it always goes. But you still keep the inning alive here, and with this Creighton offense, it's really been the story this season. You give yourself a shot to put a dent in this thing early.
Here is Teddy Dieters, runner at first, 2 away for the Blue Jays in the first, no score in the pitch. Good pitch on the inside corner. You're going to see a lot of off-speed stuff here out of Will Walsh. Not many hard and heavy fastballs, at least early on in this one. 0-1 here to Dieters in the pitch. Pop foul, backing out of play. Well, Rob Childress, the new pitching coach for Nebraska. Of course, he was legendary in Lincoln in the early 2000s as part of Dave Van Horn's staff. Now has returned to reassume those pitching roles. He's always emphasized good movement on the mound, and there's a swing and a miss for strike 3. So 2 strikeouts in the inning, sandwiching a single, a caught stealing, and a base on ball. So the Jays leave 1. We're through 1 here at Charles Schwab Field. It's Nebraska and Creighton scoreless. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Well, a rather efficient 1-2-3 first inning sends Malachi Vitak back out at least to start the second inning. Again, we're expecting, Ed Service told us before the game, could see 6 to 8 different pitchers tonight trying to help save the bullpen that was heavily used, especially on Saturday of that doubleheader against Charleston Southern. But then also being mindful, you've got a game tomorrow night.
Right.
Here's Tyler Stone, the first baseman, to lead things off, and there's a pitch right over the heart of the plate for strike one, taking all the way with Stone.
Such an odd road trip. You had the Saturday, Sunday, Mondays here at Stanford, then you go out to Charleston. Now you've got 2 midweek games as well.
This one misses just a bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tyler Stone, .312 average, 4 home runs, 17 driven in. The 1-1 is chopped on the ground towards second. Up with it is Hess. And a throw to first. Safe. It pulled him off the bag. And the ball was not corralled. It was not a great throw. It should have been a routine play. But unfortunately, it was not a great throw. And then having a hard time handling over at first was Will McLean. And so a decision to be made. I'm sure we're going to have some kind of an error on the play, and it will. It'll be an error. It'll be an error on Kyle Hess, the throwing error. So Nebraska gets its first base runner the easy way. And ball 1 misses outside to Josh Karen.
You can hear from the dugout, too, move your feet, and they're trying to get Kyle Hess to get to that ball a little bit more, kind of a slow bouncer. And didn't get that fast.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. That's the 3rd error of the year on Hess, and there's a good off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Right on the inside corner. Josh Karen, .290 average, team high, 6 home runs and 32 runs driven in. Here's the 1-1. Fastball low and away. 2 balls and a strike. Stone not a threat to run. He's only attempted 1 steal this year. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Checked his swing, does not matter. Right on the outside corner, according to both home plate umpire Jason Harstick and our TrackMan system provided by Creighton Baseball Analytics. Good to have them back again for another season. 2-2, the pitch. It's a line drive, base hit into right field. Dieters will cut it off. It'll be station-to-station baseball. And a line drive base hit for Josh Karen, and Nebraska's got something cooking here in the second. A leadoff error, and now a single by Karen, and Nebraska's got runners at first and second.
And this is going to be interesting, Jay, because you've got Garrett Anglem who can hit for power, but this is now that part of Nebraska's offensive approach where runners at first and second, nobody out. You see sometimes Nebraska in the past would go ahead and trust their guy to drive it through the infield. This is one where you look at Garrett Anglem trying to get runners at second and third here.
And Anglem does have 4 sacrifices this year. And he's going to show bunt and put it down, but foul. So Nebraska comes in with 21 sacrifices this year. Creighton with only 14. Nebraska's through 25 games, so they basically have averaged 1 sack bunt per game this year. Bluejays barely over half. Infielders creep in on the grass. The bunt is down, but it's going to roll foul. And now it is 0-2.
Boy, that's the frustrating part. And this is something that you see it in college baseball, and this is one area that I always give Ed Service and his players a lot of credit when they were doing that a lot more in these situations. The execution rate, the success rate was pretty high. This is something that when you're changing your offensive approach just a little bit, it's that execution. Some guys, especially a guy like Garrett Anglem, who's been more of a power guy for Nebraska.
The 0-2 pitch shows bunt again, but not offering, and takes high and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. First and second for Nebraska, nobody out, top of the second. Huskers trying to attack and score first. Showing bunt again, and he fouls it off for strike 3. So they keep the bunt on, and quite frankly, not a great pitch to bunt because it was way off the plate.
Yeah, and Malachi, that was a hitting on my terms type of pitch there. He goes to the slider, starts on the outer half, and then it works itself way into the left-handed batter's box. And you saw what Anglem was able to lay off the previous pitch on that one. Good movement on that one and just got contact, but there was nothing that was going to go fair.
Yeah, that was a great pitch for Vitak, as there's a strike taken for Joshua Overbeek. Because you're right, it looks like it's going to be a strike, and it just has that side-to-side movement that just kept tailing away, and it kind of stayed on the same plane, did that pitch, as this breaking ball is going to bend inside. Good block there by Hogan, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. So it was the perfect pitch for Vitak, and it was the worst-case scenario, really, for Garrett Anglem.
And Anglem stayed committed on that. He couldn't pull it back, got contact, but there was no way that was going in play.
The 1-1, checked his swing, did he go? And they will say no swing. Now remember, with the runners at first and second, Brian Solier is not stationed down the line at third. He is in that no man's land area between the pitcher's mound and second base. So his look at it different than what it would be normally. The 2-1, and there's a good pitch in there for a strike. Eases one over at 83. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 1 out. Huskers threatening in the second, no score. Overbeek hitting .280 this year with 7 runs driven in. The 2-2. Line drive right to the shortstop. They're going to flip to second, double play. Tyler Stone was wandering a little too far away. The line drive did not go through. And the Blue Jays get a 6-4 line out double play. And the threat is stymied in the second. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, 1 left. We head to the bottom of the second, no score. Blue Jay baseball is on 1620 The Zone. All right, I just punched the, I just went down a little bit on the bit rate. We'll see if that helps. There must be something in this booth because we don't have that problem. We didn't have that problem down the hall. Yeah, all right. Well, I'll keep us surprised of the situation, and we'll try to. I went down on the bit rate, so maybe that'll help a little bit. So the defense got the Jays in a little bit of trouble in the top of the second, but the defense also got them out of the jam. A line drive to Nolan Clifford with a runner at second. Kyle Hess over to cover, and unfortunately for Tyler Stone, he was just a little bit too far off the bag, and can't really blame him. I mean, you're in a spot where you're already taking a lead. You would have had to rally back immediately off contact to really have a shot at getting back safely, as Kobe Canales fouls this one off to lead off the Jays' second.
Yeah, Stone's working his secondary lead in that situation, and it was a hard hit ball right to short, so at that point, there's just not much you can do. You don't chalk it up to bad base running. That's just more bad luck than anything.
The 0-1, and this one's going to be fouled straight back, and immediately nothing in 2 for Canales, hitting .326. 5 home runs, 18 driven in. The senior from Orange, California, went 2 for 8 over the weekend against Charleston Southern. There's a breaking ball low, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2 from Walsh. Called strike 3. He tried to pull his arms back on an 87-mile-an-hour fastball, thinking that was inside. But according to Jason Harstick, it was a strike, and if you look at the TrackMan, technically it would have broken the glass. Very close to not being a strike.
That's as close as it gets right there on the
But
corner.
if you believe the TrackMan would say, Jason, that was a good call. So it's the 3rd strikeout for Will Walsh. And a breaking ball for a strike to Will McLean. Walsh definitely pitches you backwards. He is That was one of the rare fastballs we have seen from him in these first 5 batters. That one misses low and outside, 1-1.
That's the effectiveness of a guy that can really locate his changeup. He throws it in different spots, but throws in the strike zone. You can throw an 87, 89 mile-an-hour fastball. It's going to feel like it's coming in at 95.
The 1-1, and there's a strike. That one a little generous, according to TrackMan. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Will McLean, the pitch, and this one's grounded up the middle. That'll get through for a base hit. Red Stokes a little bit more towards first. Not that he was shading him too much, but that ground ball had enough steam on it to get through, and that'll be the Jays' second hit. And with 1 out, that'll bring up Hogan Helligo.
Yeah, the strength of Will McLean, when you look at him, he's put together so well. That's a 2-strike pitch that just started to flutter on the outer half, but is able to get enough barrel on that, but more strength than anything to drive that through the infield.
Shift is on right now for Hogan as he fouls this one off. Second baseman Stokes is playing right behind, almost directly behind the bag at second. So there is a giant gap between first and second if Hogan can just punch one through. The 0-1, he cranks on this one. Deep left field. Did he get enough? Yes, sir! Home run, Hogan Helligo. Blue Jays 2, Huskers nothing.
And what do they say, John? You hang it, you bang it, and that's exactly what happened there. Hogan Helligo sitting on that changeup. Will Walsh gets that up in the zone just enough, and Hogan Helligo absolutely crushes that pitch. Great barrel contact there, turning it. And again, you make that mistake, you get on top of it. In fact, I think that was actually a rare fastball. That elevated in the zone, and Hogan Helligo got it all.
376 feet, a deadline drive off the back of the bullpen wall in left for the first home run this year for Hogan Helligo. And Ben North takes outside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the pitch by Walsh. He misses low and in, and you were right, Nick. It was a fastball. And it's not overpowering stuff.
Right.
Which is why those off-speed pitchers are so important, being able to locate them and get them for strikes. As this one's going to be sprayed foul by Mr. Grand Slam himself, Ben North.
He just elevated that fastball enough. Hogan Helligo didn't miss it. This is the great thing about the evolution of Hogan Helligo as a college baseball player. He's always been great defensively as a backstop. His offense has come on.
The 2-2 is punched on the ground just wide of third and foul. If there is a weakness to Will Walsh, he has given up the home run this year. That is the 5th home run he has given up. By comparison, last year, in 51 innings, he allowed 6 home runs. That is his 5th home run in 29 innings. There's a bouncing ball up the middle and a base hit under the diving glove of Dylan Carey. An aggressive turn at first by Ben North, and North with a big fist pump towards the Blue Jay fans. And that's the 4th hit, 3rd of the inning, and the Blue Jays trying to set the table again.
The one thing you'll notice with this team, and you watch them after every at-bat, whether they're on base or they're crossing home or even in and out, they're communicating with each other. Second time through, even though we're still at the bottom of the lineup, second time through is where you see this offense really take off, and it's that constant communication of what they're seeing. And now Rob Childers going to come out and talk to Will Walsh, but it's something that has been very noticeable, especially in the early part of the success this offense has had. That constant communication of the types of pitches they're seeing, what part of the zone he's attacking, and how they can make those adjustments. It's constant, and it's something that's very effective with this offense.
And with that, as Rob Childress comes out, the bullpen is going to start to activate. Freshman Ty Horn was one of the pitchers that was headed down there. In fact, he has grabbed his glove, and he has immediately addressed the bullpen mound. So he will start to work, and with a little bit of earnest. Should take a look at Ty. Those of you watching along on Flow Sports, we welcome you tonight. John Bishop, Nick Hanley up here topside. On 16-20 the zone, 2-0 Blue Jays on a Hogan Helligo 2-run home run. It is for the Blue Jay offense their 26th home run hit this year. Here's Kyle Hess. First pitch to him is a breaking ball inside corner for strike one. I was doing some comparative notes between this year's team and last year's team. Here's the 0-1. Puts the bunt down, pretty good bunt. Over to grab it is Walsh, and he option tosses with his left hand. And Matt Rule might want to take a look at him at quarterback. That was a pretty good option toss. Had a little steam on it, and it got there in time to cut down Kyle Hess, but he'll get credit for the sacrifice. North moves into scoring position with 2 outs and Tate Gillen at the plate.
Yeah, that was going to be the only play he had. You cannot turn your hips or turn your feet and try to get that in time. It was a good job of getting enough on that toss. A lot of times you'll see that thing hang in the air and you just won't get there in time.
Gillen struck out, looking to lead things off. Takes outside here, 1 ball, no strikes. Runner at second, 2 away. Jays have 2 runs in here in the second. They're going to try the pickoff play at second. But North did not have a big lead out there. He could see out of his peripheral vision, Dylan Carey was there. In fact, Carey playing up the middle right now to hold him close. The pitch breaks low, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. The usual shortstop's hole is vacated a bit, though. Third baseman Overbeek playing a very wide third base right now to try to cut off some of that room. Pitch is flipped foul back into the seats to our left. It's 2-1.
Now, let's see how Tate Gillen adjusts. Remember, he got the punch out looking back in the first, and this is where we get to that second part of the lineup where they're making adjustments. They're getting a beat on what they're seeing on the mound. See if Tate Gillen can make those adjustments and have a productive at-bat here.
Runner at second, 2 away. The 2-1 pitch is hit on the ground to first. Bobbled, tries to gather it back up, and it's not going to be in time. He's safe. Tyler Stone had a problem coming up with that slow roller. He fumbled it, and the aggressive base running and speed of Tate Gillen beats the rap. Even if that flip had been a little bit quicker, Gillen racing down the line had that play beat easily.
It had a little bit of a slow hop, but it was in between. I don't want to say it was all that tough to handle, but as soon as you had the bobble giving Gillen speed, that was going to be extremely difficult to get him at first.
It'll be an error on Stone, and now first and third for Nolan Sailors, who fouls this one back. Sailors singled in the first, but was caught stealing as he misread the read of Will Walsh on a 1-3-6 put out at second base. First and second, 2 away. Jays up 2-0 in the pitch. Breaking ball low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Sailors has knocked in 26. He's 2 shy of Ben North for the team lead. Got an RBI chance here with 2 outs in the second. The pitch is in there for a strike. Again, maybe a bit of a generous call there by Jason Harstick. According to TrackMan, it was off the plate by about 4 to 5 inches. And it's 1-2. Walsh trying to get out of this jam. The pitch swung on, hit in the air towards right. Back on it is Evans. He's at the track, has room, and makes the catch. The wind helped it a little bit, but not enough. And it'll go as a long fly ball out, and the side is retired. But in the inning, 2 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 left. We head to the third. Creighton 2, Nebraska nothing. 16-20 the zone. Well, Malachi Vitak is going to get a third inning of work. Now, there is some activity that has started in the Blue Jay pen. It is left-handed activity. But with a 2-run lead and so far pitching pretty well, Vitak's going to start the third, and there's a strike to Dylan Carey. Huskers had a chance in the second. First two men reached on an error and a single, but Anglem struck out on a fouled bunt. And there's a line drive. That could be for extra bases. It is down and headed to the left field wall. Sailors comes up with it cleanly, but Dylan Carey is going to glide into second, and it's a leadoff double for Nebraska as he waves his arms as if to say, I am a bird, I can fly. Now, I don't know. I'm not going to say that he's doing it because he's playing a team that is of the aviary persuasion, or if that's something he has done all year. But if it is a bit of a troll, I like it because it's a rivalry.
This is a rivalry. You need more of that. I get the feeling this is maybe a new wrinkle to Dylan Carey's repertoire when it comes to the extra base hit celebration.
It's become the thing now, hasn't it?
Yes,
There's a swing and a miss. He was late on that pitch, Rhett Stokes was. And it's 0-1. Everybody's got some, especially on extra base hits.
If you don't have it, you're not cool.
It's like what the three-point shot has become in basketball.
Yes.
Here's the 0-1. There's a good pitch in there for a strike at 81, and it's quickly 0-2 on Stokes. I mean, everybody's got their thing. Baylor Shireman, of course, blows a kiss. Nebraska fans can relate to Keisei Tominaga, who does the, I call it the Home Alone celebration.
Yes, if he does it to the
There's
cheeks
a ball outside.
when Kevin puts on the aftershave. I thought the same thing, but now I notice he's going more to the head.
Yeah, it's more like almost like he's holding the back of his head. But either way, he's got the mouth wide open.
Yeah, we're on the same page there.
Some people do they hold up three fingers and pound it into the side of their head. Here's a bouncing ball to third. Up with it is North. He looks the runner back. A wild throw, and he's safe. Oh, Ben North looked the runner back at second, threw across the diamond. The throw pulled McLean off the bag to the foul side. I thought for a moment he might be able to come down with it and still reach the bag. He could not. And then the swipe tag attempt also was off the mark. And it'll be the second error against this Blue Jay infield in the last two innings, and now Nebraska again has something cooking here in the third. What should have been a routine play was not, and there's ball one low. So that'll be the fifth error against Ben North.
John K. Sanderson didn't show bunt there, and we're in a first and second situation with your leadoff hitter now for Nebraska, and he doesn't show bunt at least on the first pitch.
The 1-0, not showing bunt here, and he rolls one foul. Sanderson does not have a sacrifice this year. 10 different Nebraska players have at least one sacrifice this season. But Sanderson's not one of them. 2-0 Blue Jays, but Nebraska threatening in the third. 2 on, nobody out in the pitch. In there for a strike at 84, and it's 1-2. Sanderson flew out to left field his first time up. Malachi Vitak in sore need of a strikeout or a ground ball right at somebody. The pitch. Cold strike 3. Sanderson, that caught a lot of the plate, and Sanderson fooled on the off-speed delivery by Malachi Vitak, and that'll be his second strikeout. The first traditional strikeout, we'll call it, of the game. Of course, the other one was the bunt fouled third strike.
And that, unfortunately, for Malachi should be out number 2. But now you're in a situation, runners at first and second. You're a pitch away if you can just induce that ground ball and get out of it. But Malachi Vitak, it's the off-speed, especially the slider. It's been a weapon in this start.
Here's Silva, and he takes off the plate outside. Silva tried to bunt his way aboard in the first, but that bunt caught too much of the grass and turned into a routine 1-3 putout. Runners first and second for Nebraska. And the pitch is swung on, hit pretty well towards center, starting in and now drifting back is Tate Gillen. He'll make the catch. Tagging from second and heading to third will be Dylan Carey, but now there are 2 away in the 3rd inning. And Ed Service immediately out of the dugout. And judging by his pace, this looks to be more of a strategy call than it is a pitching change. Tommy Lamb had started throwing at the beginning of the inning, had his pullover on, and then after the first 2 men reached, he took the pullover off and began working a little more earnestly. But Ed Service going to stay with him and see if Vitak can get out of this 3rd inning, if he can get past Cole Evans.
Yeah, I think the plan was, as it always typically is in the midweeks with Ed Service and the way that they want to handle the pitching staff, is give you 6. If you get through the 6, you're limiting the opportunities. You get 9, and this is an opportunity for Malachi Vitak to get 9 outs in this appearance, in this start. And again, he's been effective, but you want to hold together here.
What a lift it would be if he could do just that. And he's peppering that zone right now. He is really working the inside corner of the plate well here. That one caught the inside corner to Evans. Evans flew out to left. His only other time up. 1st and 3rd for Nebraska. 2-0 Creighton. Top of the 3rd inning. 2 out. The pitch. Outside, and it's 1-1.
It's a good spot, though. Again, he's starting it on the mid part of this plate. You're getting a lot of good run with that slider, working away from the right-handed hitters. Let's see if now he kind of comes inside.
1 ball, 1 strike. The pitch. Pop foul out of play, and now it's 1-2. A hit and an error in this inning. But can Malachi Vitak again slam the door on the visitors from Lincoln? 1 ball, 2 strikes. There goes the runner from first. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. And Malachi Vitak jumps up the mound with a fist pump, exhorting his teammates who meet him in front of the dugout. His first swinging strikeout, a beautiful breaking ball that just kept sliding away off the plate. And again, Nebraska fails to score with 1st and 2nd and nobody out. In the inning, 1 hit, 1 error, 2 left. We head to the bottom of the 3rd. Creighton 2, Nebraska nothing. Blue Jay Baseball is on 1620 The Zone. Well, Nick Hanley, the first move to the bullpen will come from the Nebraska side of things as they bring on the right-handed freshman, Ty Horn.
Out of Halstead, Kansas, coming in with a 4.63 earned run average. This will be his 6th appearance. He does have 2 starts on the year. He's got 11 2/3, scattering 11 hits. He's given up 12 runs. 6 of those were earned. He's walked 7 and struck out 9. The opposition hitting .229 against the freshman Ty Horn, now in for Nebraska here in the bottom of the 3rd.
You can't say enough good things about Malachi Vitak because 2 of the base runners that reached were not his fault.
Right.
He was in 1st and 2nd, nobody out jams in each of the 2nd and 3rd innings, and that goose egg is still in the run column for Nebraska. Excellent work by Vitak, who, judging by the way he came off the mound, probably knows that was his last batter faced.
And that's another Nebraska kid understanding this rivalry. You got 21 combined between these 2 rosters.
Here's the pitch. It's sprayed foul by Clifford, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
14 on the Nebraska roster, 7 on the Creighton roster, and there's a young man that's seen this rivalry play out, and he just had a big moment in this one.
1 ball, 1 strike. Clifford, who walked his last time up, slaps this one foul. And one thing you notice about Nolan Clifford, that ball is really coming off the bat with a much better velocity. He really worked on his body in the offseason, and he is getting around on these pitches a lot better than any other time in his career. There's ball 2, low and outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Clifford, who would be the nation's leading hitter had he qualified, but he has only played or had 47 at-bats. There's ball 3 outside. He's hitting .532 coming into today's action. .532 still currently because he walked in the first. The full count pitch. There's a line drive, base hit, left field. The Hitman strikes again, and the Blue Jays have a leadoff man aboard. It's their 5th hit in the first 2 innings plus of this game. And again, Blue Jays doing a nice job going to the opposite field.
Again, we've seen this now a couple of times with 2 strikes. A Creighton hitter letting the ball travel, shorten up the swing, going the other way with it. And this is what made Nolan Clifford very effective early on. And he's still getting that power back after that hand injury that he suffered, but he still has that good plate discipline like you saw right there.
Here's Teddy Dieters, who struck out his last time up, hits this one pretty well towards the gap. This one could get down, and it's off the wall, a base hit. They're going to send the runner Clifford. Here comes the throw. There could be a play at the plate, and there is. He's out by a mile. Oh, you got to give Nebraska credit. Evans and Silva converged on the ball in the outfield. It made a nice bounce off the wall. It did not get hung up out there. And then they threw in, I believe it was the second baseman, Stokes, who took the cutoff. And then Nolan Clifford cut down by several feet. It was Silva who took the throw, or grabbed the throw, fired it to Stokes, and a good strike to home plate. And that saves Nebraska a run. Excellent defense by Nebraska.
And initially from our angle, Stokes' throw, it looked like it might take Josh Caron down the third baseline a little more than it did. It really corrected itself on its way there.
Here's the pitch, grounded third base side. Nice backhand stop, long throw, and a good throw. Gets the out. It bounced there, but Tyler Stone played it well. Nice play all the way around. Overbeat, hugging the line. Snagged it. Prevented what could have been a run-scoring double. So it's a double for Dieters, but the putout will go 8-4-2, erasing Nolan Clifford at the plate.
You could see Connor Gandasi at the last moment. It was in between. The wheels are spinning. You want to be aggressive, but I think at the last moment he was maybe trying to put the brakes on.
Here's the pitch to Kobe Canales, and he takes a strike. Well, bookmark that for later in the game if it is a 1-run difference. It will remain 2-0 Blue Jays, but with a 2-out base hit, the Jays could get that run. This one's going to miss low and inside, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike on Will McLean.
The initial waving of the arms from Connor Gandasi, but then at the last moment it looked like either tried to get him through a little bit less emphatic.
Here's the 1-1, hit pretty well, but right at the second baseman. Stokes is up with it, and Nebraska's defense does the job to keep the Blue Jays scoreless in the third. Jays do get 2 hits, but they leave a runner, and they get a man erased at home plate. We're through 3 at Charles Schwab Field. It's the Blue Jays 2, the Cornhuskers 0. Blue Jay baseball is on 1620 The Zone. The Blue Jays will match Nebraska by going to their bullpen as we head to the fourth. 3 great innings out of Malachi Vitak. It is 2-0 Creighton. The new pitcher is Tommy Lamb. Now for Lamb, it's been a star-crossed last couple of outings. He has not recorded an out while allowing 4 hits and a run in those last 2 appearances, both of them at Sunken Diamond against Stanford. But his numbers this season, 4.15 ERA with a 2-0 record, his 10th appearance of the year, 13 innings, 20 hits, 6 earned runs allowed, 12 strikeouts, 4 walks. We have 2 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Blue Jays. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 error for Nebraska. I'm John Bishop, and here to take you through the middle, Nick Hanley.
All right, thanks, JB. It will be the heart of the order for Nebraska. And Tommy Lamb will face the 4-hole hitter Tyler Stone. Stone reached on an error back in the second inning. He's 0 for 1. Lefty-lefty matchup here. Lamb's first offering misses away with the fastball. And with you, what you'll get from Tommy Lamb, fastball right around 89 that you saw right there. He'll work the cutter, the changeup, his best off speed. He will show a curveball. And there's that breaking ball in there for strike 1. Tyler Stone comes in at 3.08 for the Huskers. Lamb working out of the stretch, 1-1 pitch. Tried to hang him up on the inner half. Lays off it. It's inside, 2-1. So Nebraska and Creighton coming in for the first time since 2005, 20 wins apiece. If you've seen this winning percentage, that is low and outside now. Quickly 3-1 to Tyler Stone. As John mentioned, now twice in this game, Creighton has been able to get out of a first and second nobody out situation. And this one misses away, so it will be the lead man aboard yet again for Nebraska. This is not the type of living Creighton wants to make a habit of in this one.
Well, Lamb will walk him. It's only his 5th walk of the year in 17 2/3 innings.
And that's going to bring up Josh Caron. Caron has been one of the hotter hitters for Nebraska as of late. He's the power guy. Team leader in RBI. 32 as a ground ball hit to third. Could be 2. Over to second for 1. To first in time. 5-4-3 double play. And as Tommy Lamb walks the lead man, gets a big ground ball, and hopefully that'll settle him in nicely there.
Great stretch over at first, too, by Will McLean, because Josh Caron, forget about the fact he's a catcher. He was hustling down the line, but just didn't have enough. But that stretch certainly cut the distance off on the throw.
So here's Garrett Anglum. Right-handed hitter looks at the off-speed in there. Strike 1 on the outer half. Garrett Anglum went down swinging in the second. 0 for 1 tonight. The Papillion product, a 3.04 hitter. That one misses outside, 1-1. So Tommy Lamb, as John mentioned, has struggled to get outs. If you go back to the previous homestand, as this one catches the inside corner, strike 2. The previous homestand, he was coming into some pretty dicey situations and for the most part was stabilizing the game where it looked like, whether it was Portland, there's a swing and a miss, and that's in the dirt. Tag applied and inning over. No runs off, no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. As we go to the bottom of the 4th, the score remains Creighton 2, Nebraska nothing. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Nick Haley, John Bishop back here at Charles Schwab Field. Ben Gieser back at our 1620 The Zone studios on a cold, brisk night here in downtown Omaha as Creighton begins another homestand. They'll play North Dakota State tomorrow, and then it's conference play against Butler right here at Charles Schwab Field. Creighton leading 2-0 on the strength of a Hogan Helligo 2-run bomb in the left field bullpen. And Hogan Helligo will lead it off here in the fourth inning. 1-for-1 tonight with that 2-run blast. Hogan Helligo now at 302 on the year. Ty Horn remains the hurler for Nebraska. First offered inside, 1-0. Hogan Helligo, one of a handful of Creighton players that had experienced an early season injury. That breaking ball in there for strike one. You see a little bit more velocity on the fastball from Ty Horn than what you saw from Will Walsh. 1-1 pitch. That one's fouled down the right field line. Hit well, but out of play. But for Hogan Helligo, good to see him back. Jack Grace was a candidate to be in the lineup. You could still see him swing it tonight. And we mentioned Nolan Clifford back in too. That breaking ball just misses inside. Now 2-1.
Yeah, I saw Grace before the game today. He was working out with his teammates, getting closer. It's amazing how much this offense has improved this year.
This one is flared out to right field, going to work its way foul out of play.
And he's barely been a part of it. I mean, Grace has only had 22 at-bats this year, and he's only 6 out of 22.
And it's a testament to what this team has been offensively, missing some key guys in the lineup. This one's popped up towards our neck of the woods, out of play. And when Clifford was out, and with Jack Grace being out, even Helligo out, you've seen guys step up defensively, but you've also seen a lot of opportunities for younger players getting some ABs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's the offering way outside. That'll run it full. Here 3-2 on Hogan Helligo, leading things off here in the bottom of the fourth.
Low 90s out of Ty Horn. That one 93, but he just overthrew it.
You're going to see both of these coaches, and especially the pitching coaches, if you're not throwing strikes, you are not going to. This ball is blasted into left field, but it will hook foul. Ooh. Hogan Helligo almost did it again. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, exit velocity of 102, and Hogan Helligo is getting a barrel on the ball. There's a ground ball over to third. Overbeek up with it, throws just in time to get the out. But boy, Hogan Helligo with a loud foul ball. Safe to say he's seeing it okay.
Yes, he is. Not bad considering he hadn't hit a home run this year.
That's right. That's been Hogan Helligo. You saw it a little bit last year where the offense started coming around, started getting a little bit more power to the gaps. It's always been a great backstop there at catcher. Here's Ben North. Ben North back to his more natural third base spot now with the return of Nolan Clifford. Was playing shortstop in Clifford's absence. First pitch outside. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and there's a ball hit into left field, and that is going to drop in there for a base hit. And Ben North will take a turnaround first, heading back, and Ben North has 2 hits now tonight, 2 for 2. Good to see Ben North as we've just kind of dubbed Mr. Grand Slam. Nobody on, so you got to get yourself. I guess sometimes you got to be the base runner, not always the guy cleaning it up. Already
7 hits for the Blue Jays, and they've had at least 1 runner on in every inning so far, so they put the pressure on. And we'll see what they have in mind here. Josh Caron is going to come out, and Rob Childress is going to follow suit, and he has already signaled to the bullpen where there was activity going on. I was not focused with my glasses on who was out there.
Yeah, we got a lefty coming in.
Yep, it will be Caleb Clark. So, pitcher number 3 for Nebraska will enter here with 1 out in the 4th inning, and Nebraska trailing in this one to Creighton 2-0. Caleb Clark. This will be just his 6th appearance of the season. He's made 2 starts prior. 9 innings of work for the sophomore out of Ontario, Canada. 9 innings of work, 13 hits, 10 runs, all of them earned, 8 strikeouts, 7 walks. And we kind of expected a lot of matchups to be played tonight. Well, if you take a look at the order, you got Hess coming up, then back to the top of the order. You've got 4 straight lefties due up for the Blue Jays. So ignore the numbers.
Right.
This is all about matching up arms to bats, and what Rob Childress is doing here with his 3rd pitcher of the night.
And Caleb Clark is an interesting story. This was a guy that was factored into their weekend rotation last year, and they really wanted to give him that opportunity again this year. But you mentioned just the strikeout to walk ratio. That's something that Rob Childress would like to see a little bit more in favor of the strikeout category, 8-7. So for Creighton hitters, again, very opportunistic. Now, this obviously is their first time seeing him, but it's another part of this ball game where we've seen Creighton throughout this season be able to take advantage, especially if you're not working ahead. We'll see if Caleb Clark is able to establish a strike zone early. But as you mentioned, you get to Hess, and then you get to that top of the order with some left-handed sticks. So it'll be Ben North leading away from first here. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Creighton leading Nebraska 2-0. 7 hits for the Jays, 2 for the Huskers. And maybe the one big surprise in this one between these two teams right now, 3 errors, 2 for Creighton and 1 for Nebraska. 2 teams that have defended pretty well throughout the year. But right now, Kyle Hess, the 9-hole hitter, with 1 out and a runner at first, getting his first look at Caleb Clark. Little 3-quarter action from Caleb Clark as that fastball misses outside, 1-0.
Hess this year hitting .276 with runners on base, .240 this season.
Hess with 12 hits and 50 at-bats on the year. Shows bunt, pulls back, looks at a fastball down the middle, 1-1.
And the shift is on. The shortstop, Carey, is playing straight up the middle. Stokes in the traditional second base hole, but a little shallow.
You got that gap shortstop. The traditional shortstop spot is completely vacated. There's another fastball right down the middle. Now 1-2. Here on Kyle Hess.
And Overbeek was in on the grass, but now with strike 2, he anticipates that if there was any thought of bunting, it won't happen now. And now Overbeek is basically going to move into the shortstop's position, so a lot of room down the third base line.
In a scenario again, and we've seen Creighton hitters do this throughout the night with 2 strikes, be able to let the ball travel deep in the zone and go the other way with it. And this would be a great opportunity if you could go down the third baseline with nobody there. 1-2 pitch goes outside, misses outside, 2-2.
These have done a nice job of working counts. They have struck out 3 times, only 1 walk tonight.
Ben North leading away from first. Clark comes set. Spending some time now, will throw over to first. And in case you were wondering about Ben North and his prowess on the bases, he has got 1 stolen base on 2 attempts. Not the heavy numbers that you see in the top of the order for Creighton in that category. 2-2 pitch, misses away now, 3-2.
We've seen this quite a bit. Blue Jay hitters falling behind, but then working the count either even or full. And while it hasn't always hasn't resulted in a man on base, it's just working pitch counts and getting your guys a better scout.
This one hit him right in the back, and so now runners will be at first and second. And that one stung Kyle Hess as it got him right in the numbers with an 89-mile-an-hour fastball. And so as Caleb Clark was up 1-2, he falls behind. Would have been ball 4 regardless if it hit him or not. So now runners at first and second, and the speedy Tate Gillen leadoff man for Creighton. at the plate.
Well, sorry there, Nick, but control has been an issue for Clark. We mentioned the 7 walks in 9 innings. That's also his 3rd hit batter of the season.
These are the things that will frustrate any coach, any pitching coach in a game like this. First pitch, Gillen shows bunt, pulls back, looks at a pitch on the outer half, misses the zone, and a little bit low. Tate Gillen tonight, 0 for 2, reached on an error back in the second. And now Josh Caron going to go out and talk with Caleb Clark, trying to allow that bullpen some more time. You do have a righty, I believe, active in the Husker bullpen.
Well, right now, if you're Tate Gillen, you're looking at the outfield. Gives you an idea of where this ball might be pitched because they are swung more over to the opposite field. There's a ton of room in right field. Cole Evans is a little bit more over. Hello, everyone. A little bit more over towards center field. Center fielder Silva a little to the left of where he might normally be. So if you can pull one down the line, you could be running for a while.
Tucker Timmerman in the bullpen. Shows bunt, pulls back, looks at a pitch. Fastball on the inner half for strike 1 at 90 miles an hour. So the right-handed Tucker Timmerman in the bullpen for Nebraska. Caleb Clark trying to establish the strike zone. Creighton trying to take advantage of a 1st and 2nd 1-out situation, bottom of the 4th, leading 2-0. This one low in the dirt, 2-1.
Tate Gillen this year hitting .471 with runners in scoring position, .474 with runners on base.
Clark comes set. Hess at first, North at second for Creighton. There's a ground ball up the middle. Off the glove of Caleb Clark. His only play will be at first. It's a low throw. It gets away from the first baseman. That's going to score Ben North. And now rounding third and holding up there is Kyle Hess. But it does get Gillen over to second on the error. The only play was going to be at first, but when that came out of the hand of Caleb Clark, it was trouble.
It hit off the end of the glove, and then he goes to barehand it and throws low and wide of first base. And here's the shame of it. If you're Nebraska, if he doesn't get a glove on that, there's an opportunity for a double play based on the way the defense was shaded. It could have ended up being a 6-3 or a 6-4-3 double play if he doesn't knock it down. Now, of course, as a pitcher, your instinct is to go for the ball if you've got a chance at it, but that was very close to being an inning-ending double play. Instead, it turns into a throwing error and a run and more trouble and another pitching change for Nebraska.
It's one of those frustrating things as a pitcher because typically in those situations when you get the pitch execution and get the ground ball, you're typically going to see maybe the third baseman, shortstop, second, or first baseman mishandle it, but you're the one who has the throwing error. Well, you mishandle it. It looked like he closed his glove maybe just a little bit early there, and then on the throw panicked. And you see that a lot with pitchers. They don't make that initial play, and that clock, that mental clock starts to elevate. He had plenty of time to get that over to first, and you're going to get the out, the only out you had there. But instead, you panic, he short arms it, and just buries the ball into the dirt. No play made by Tyler Stone, and now that'll bring in Tucker Timmerman.
So the freshman out of Beatrice will be the fourth pitcher of the night for Nebraska. And the numbers this season on Tucker Timmerman, this is his 11th appearance of the year. Only he and Kyle Perry have double-digit appearances this season so far for Nebraska. He's got a 2-0 record with an 8.74 ERA. Timmerman does have a save this year. 11 1/3 innings, 14 hits, 11 runs, all of them are earned, 12 strikeouts, 7 walks, and he inherits second and third, only 1 out. The Bluejays, with a run in on the throwing error by Caleb Clark, lead 3-0 as Creighton tries to separate themselves here in the fourth.
And John, if you would have told me at this point of the game we would see 4 errors, 2 apiece between these teams, I would have thought you're crazy. The way both of these teams came in defending and being able to handle the baseball, this is obviously a bit uncommon for both, but also you look at a situation already 3-0, but runners at second and third, and given the part of the Creighton lineup right now, you've got a shot if you're Creighton right now to really put this game, at least put a major dent into this game if you haven't already.
Yeah, because you're dealing with Sailors and Clifford and Dieters Three of the best hitters, and two of them lefties. So Rob Childress eschewing the lefty-lefty matchup now because of the ineffectiveness of Clark. And a tough spot for this freshman who was the number 3 rated right-handed pitcher out of the state of Nebraska, according to the Prep Baseball Report. All-state, super state as a junior. Helped Beatrice to state championships in basketball and baseball as a sophomore. And now gets to face Sailors and Clifford, trying to escape and keep this a 3-run game.
And Nolan tonight, 1 for 2, base hit, was picked off back in the first. Hitting .378 on the year. First pitch from Timmerman is outside with a fastball at 90 miles an hour. And good speed over there at second base. So anything hit through the infield, good shot that Tate Gillen could score from second. Here's the 1-0 pitch. There's a ground ball through the left side. That's going to score Hess. Rounding third and coming home is Gillen. He's in there. It's 5-0 Creighton.
He got a slider just off the plate and punches it through the left field side, scoring both of his teammates easily. Already 8 hits on the board for the Blue Jays if they have blown this one open here in the 4th.
And again, John, it's nothing that was overwhelming contact. It's just being able to find the vacated spots and having a good plate approach there. Here's Nolan Clifford. And that one misses outside. 1-0. And Creighton now leading 5-0. And as you mentioned, 8 hits already in this one. Feeling great about what they've been able to do attacking Husker pitching. There's a swing and a miss on a fastball, 1-1.
Yeah, he was really going for the downs there. He got a fastball, very meaty, right down the middle of the plate and came up empty. For Sailors, he is now tied Kobe Canales for the team lead with 28 RBI.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 away. Sailors leads away from first. Shows bunt, pulls back. That one misses inside, 2-1.
It just shows you the balance in this Creighton order. How many times have we seen it over the years? You get 1 or 2 guys that kind of separate themselves from the field. Even some of the better offensive teams that Ed Service has had over the years, but
runner takes off. There's a ball hit into the right side. It'll be handled by the second baseman over to first. Rhett Stokes able to get the only play at first for the second out, but it does get Nolan Sailors in scoring position on the hit and run.
That's really a good piece of hitting by Nolan Clifford. He's just trying to make contact, hoping that maybe the second baseman would be covering on the runner's action. And even though it is an out for him, it is a productive out, and now you give Dieters a chance here to knock in a 6th run.
Teddy doubled back in the 3rd inning. He's 1 for 2 tonight. With good speed and Nolan Sailors at second here with 2 away. 5-0 Creighton here in the bottom of the 4th. Fastball misses inside, 1-0.
I was mentioning the balance in this lineup. You've got 5 different guys with more than 20 runs batted in this year, and it's all very closely packed together. This offense has just been very productive top to bottom.
Timmerman gives Sailors a look. There's a little tapper over towards shortstop. Going to be a tough play. Up with it is the third baseman Overbeek over to first just in time to get the 3rd out. But for Creighton, they do some damage. 3 runs off of 2 hits. There was 1 error and 1 runner left on base. We've played 4 here at Charles Schwab Field. It's Creighton 5, Nebraska nothing. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. place. They were trying to challenge that Teddy Dieters possibly beat out that ground ball, and as the umpires return to the field, they say, and they do confirm that it indeed was an out. So now Creighton just making their way back on the field here in between innings. It was more of a bang-bang play than I thought, John, but watching the replay in real time, it looked like that was the correct call, and we saw the replay, but I guess you could say it was a little more bang-bang than maybe what we initially thought.
Well, the thing that you don't have in the college game that you see in Major League Baseball is you always see on close plays, they'll show the camera and the manager in the dugout. He'll be looking back, and it's usually to the video guy down the hall in the tunnel, and they're the ones that watch the play and determine, all right, should we challenge this or not? And you see the manager either go to the ear cup motion or do the wave off. Here, you don't have that ability. You don't have the video people, so you're going off of either what your base coaches are telling you on a play like that, or what maybe the base runner is, or just on your own gut instinct. Right. And in that case, if there had been a video person that Ed Service could have relied upon, he would not have challenged. But you're going again off of just what you're seeing in real time with the naked eye, and in this case, the challenge unsuccessful. About the only thing that's gone against the Jays so far in this one.
It's as of now, and as we know, there's, especially in this rivalry, there's plenty of baseball to be played, but you couldn't ask for a better start if you're Creighton right now. And that can also be, as you mentioned too, the player that's involved in it feels like he beat it out, and even the first base coach, Cam Johnson, might feel like this is at least worth taking a look at. To no avail for Creighton. So it will be here in the top of the fifth. 7-8-9 for Nebraska. Josh Overbeek, the third baseman who made that play, will lead it off. He lined into a double play in his only at bat in this one, 0 for 1. Tommy Lamb still doing the work for Creighton, only the second pitcher used for the Jays. In this one here in the fifth. We say only in the fifth because usually in this game we might be at pitcher number 4 or 5 for Creighton. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That one misses away, 1-1.
Well, Nick, you wonder if you've got a 5-run cushion, and it's not often, especially in recent memory, where either of these teams have gotten a really big lead on the other.
1-1 offering, swing and a miss, took something off of that one. It's now 1-2.
Especially in the middle innings. And so now for Ed Service, you can manage things a little bit differently now. Now if you had Tommy Lamb maybe scheduled for 3 to 4 outs, maybe now you can stretch him to 5 or 6 or 7 outs.
1-2 pitch, just misses outside with the slider, 2-2.
And with that said, the bullpen's occupied, but nobody working right now. So I would guess, as long as he doesn't get himself into trouble, this fifth inning is all Tommy Lamb.
2-2 pitch. Cold strike 3 on the inside corner. Came back with the breaking ball. And able to hang up Joshua Overbeek on that one. Strikeout number 2 recorded by Tommy Lamb. First out here in the fifth inning.
And that is the 5th strikeout recorded by Creighton pitching. Right now they're doing an excellent job commanding the strike zone. Only 1 walk so far. Remember, 2 of Nebraska's base runners were courtesy of faulty Creighton defense.
There's Dylan Carey, looks at a fastball outside. You think about the week that Creighton has, why that's so important, what you just mentioned with what Tommy Lamb and what the pitching staff can do, because you have North Dakota State tomorrow, then you've got the 3-game series against Butler this weekend. There's a pitch on the outside corner, strike 1, and then you go back all the way to that Stanford series that started on a Saturday that goes Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Right.
You get back very early Tuesday, then you're back on the road to Charleston, playing a normal Friday, Saturday, 2 on Saturday, I should say, and then you're back. There's a ball hit foul over by Lance Harvell, occupying the third base coach's box for Nebraska.
It is a screwy schedule when you think about it, because, again, you know, the Stanford series pushed back a day, and then yes, you did play 2 games on Saturday, so at least you got Sunday off and a little bit of recovery. But then you're right back at it with 5 games over the course of 6 days.
1 ball, 2 strikes here on Dylan Carey. 1 out here in the top of the fifth. High and outside, 2-2. And I was talking to Ed Service. This is why Malachi Vitok's start was so big. As Ed was saying over the weekend, when you look at a pitcher that kind of sets you off schedule and you have to move up guys, there's a little tapper over by the mound. Working to his right is Lamb. Flips over to first in time for the second out. But going back to that point, it not only disrupts what you want to do in the weekend arms, but then when you look at the midweek schedule, you probably are going to see Eli Nissen starting this game if he doesn't have to work a little extra over the weekend. So it has that impact of your midweek series as well.
By the way, you mentioned Eli. Happy birthday, Eli. Today is his birthday. At least that's what was tweeted out this morning.
All right.
So if I'm wrong, I'm blaming Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter's never wrong, right?
No.
Ball hit back to the screen on the first offering to Rhett Stokes. 9-hole hitter here for Nebraska.
Speaking of Twitter, I'm getting people already a little bit nervous about the overs hitting tonight on the number of pitchers used. Now, Creighton's only used 2
That's
so
right.
far.
They're doing their part.
So they're doing their part to get under the number.
There's a swing and a miss. Took something off that one. 0-2. Yeah, how about
There's a long way to go. I'm not going to put the hay is not in the barn on this one. We're not even halfway through this game yet.
In so many different ways, in so many categories.
I've seen too many weird things happen in this series.
Yes, you have.
Hashtag old.
Tommy Lamb set at the belt. 0-2 pitch. Misses away. Good setup pitch there. 1-2. Rhett Stokes tonight reached on an error. He's 0 for 1.
It will never be as weird as, I believe it was 2003, the finish to the game in Lincoln in a thunderstorm.
And a little dust up.
Yeah, it's just a slight dust up. Joe Simakaitis hit what would have been probably a foul out, and the wind, which was howling out because of the thunderstorms, it was lightning everywhere. Yeah. I mean, in today, they would have had the guys off the field because the lightning wasn't within 8 miles, the lightning was within 8 feet. But they kept playing, and then a wind-aided pop-up double won the game.
2-2 pitch, called strike 3 on the curveball. As that fools Rhett Stokes. Strikeout number 3 for Tommy Lamb. And it's 3 up, 3 down for Nebraska in the top of the 5th. As we head to the bottom of the 5th, the score remains Creighton 5, Nebraska nothing. You're listening to Creighton Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Nick Haley, John Bishop back here at Charles Schwab Field. As we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, it is Creighton leading 5-0 over their crosstown rival Nebraska. 1 of 3 played between these two teams. And for the Bluejays, they will lead things off with Colby Canales. It'll be 5, 6, 7 for the Jays here. First pitch in there for strike 1. So Nebraska continuing to roll with Tucker Timmerman. Timmerman, the 4th pitcher used tonight for the Huskers. That one missed inside. 1-1. Inside again, 2-1. Colby tonight is 0 for 2. But comes in swinging it at a consistent clip. He's hitting .312 on the year, 15 hits and 48 at-bats. There's a ball hit in our direction out of play, just off to the right. That'll even it up at 2-2. We mentioned the workload that Creighton has this week. They will take on North Dakota State tomorrow night and then opening up Big East play. Oh boy, did we almost have a major incident up here in the press box. That one misses outside, and one fan almost just got pelted with a TV monitor, but John Bishop, just call him Johnny on the spot.
No, it was my fault. It almost fell anyway.
Those are shortstop
now,
hands
we
right
do
there.
have a shelf out here, so it might have saved someone from getting brained.
There's a swing and a miss. Oh, man. My heart skipped a beat on that one. You're going to have to say, look out below.
I've been known for foreign objects flying out of the booth before, but nothing the size. This monitor sitting here, and it's just barely sitting on the edge of this table.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I think I was leaning over for something, and I'm just like, and it almost fell. But I saved it, and no one died.
I have no idea what position you played in baseball, but those are shortstop quick hands right there.
I played third.
Yep, so okay, there you go.
And
good reaction.
Wasn't great at it.
That's
I wasn't great at it.
Yeah, you would have made the play right there. So Colby Canales goes down swinging.
Note for next week. We need bigger tables.
There's a swing and a miss.
Because this thing, I mean, this thing is sitting just on the edge of this corner, and I got all this stuff in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta have to.
Oh, I love it. 1-1 pitch. McLean grounds one over to second. Rhett Stokes up with it over to first in time on the routine hopper. And there are two quickly recorded here in the bottom of the fifth.
It's the first time tonight the Blue Jays have had their first two men retired to start an inning.
Well, here comes Hogan Helligo. And if you are just tuning in, Helligo had the first major blow in this game. It was a two-run shot, no doubter, in the Creighton bullpen, and then he did end up grounding out to third, and that one's inside for ball one. But the previous pitch, he just missed having home run number 2. So there is some good barrel to ball contact right now for Hogan Helligo. Fouls one back to the screen, 1-1.
Wind has died down from the start of the game. It's still blowing out to center, but not nearly as brisk.
1-1 pitch is low, 2-1.
Though the laser beam shot that he hit out of the ballpark fared, needed no wind-aided help.
There's a swing and a miss, 2-2. Took something off of that one. And the forecast was showing as the evening progressed, we were going to get the winds to pick up a little bit. I'm with you. It looks like it's died down a bit. There's a called strike 3 on the outside corner. So Timmerman comes in, very impressive in the Creighton half of the fifth, able to retire the side 3 up, 3 down with 2 strikeouts in that frame. We played 5 here at Charles Schwab Field. Your score remains Creighton 5, Nebraska nothing. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. As we've made our way to the 6th inning of this one, game 1 of 3 between the I-80 rivals Creighton and Nebraska. It's been all Jays in this one, at least to this point, as Creighton leads it 5-0. 8 hits for the Jays, 2 for Nebraska, 2 errors between the two.
And there's Baylor Shireman, and you can tell the season's not happening anymore because Francisco Farabello's enjoying a tall, cold Coors Light.
Good for him. You know what? They deserve it.
I wonder if...
Nice little run for the Jays. Ends, unfortunately, in the Sweet 16, but cheers to those guys.
Good night for popcorn.
The smells of the ballpark.
I would guess that Baylor probably played baseball.
Yeah.
He was a really good football player.
Yeah, great quarterback.
I'm guessing that Francisco did not play baseball. He was probably playing soccer.
That's a fair assumption there.
That'd be my guess. I don't know that for a fact.
And it looks like we are going to have a pinch hitter for Nebraska, and that will be Caden Brumbaugh. Brumbaugh will hit for Case Sanderson. And Case Sanderson, who was the leadoff hitter. So it will be the top of the order for Nebraska here in the top of the sixth, trying to get something going. First offering from Tommy Lamb's in there for strike one. And again, Lamb in now for the third inning.
Could they split this game into thirds?
It's at least trending that way. This would go a long way, getting Brumbaugh and getting the lead man here in the top of the sixth inning.
Brumbaugh is their third best hitter at .338 coming into the action tonight.
14 hits and 65 at bats. There's a ball hit through the left side, and right on cue, he gets a leadoff single, and that is hit number, beg your pardon, I said 14, that's hit number 23. It was 22 of 65, make that 23 of 66.
It's their first hit since the leadoff double in the third.
That'll bring up Riley Silva. Silva 0 for 2 tonight, hitting .270 on the year, but a guy with great speed. He's got 16 stolen bases, leading the Huskers and leading the Big Ten in that category. There's a ball hit into right field for a base hit. So Nebraska now with back-to-back singles, and they are in business here. But again, this would be the third time this game that Nebraska's had a first and second situation with nobody out. Creighton, to this point, has been able to maneuver themselves around that. With activity in the bullpen for the Jays right now, Ed Service going to make the slow walk out to the mound.
It's Casey Trapp, and he's going to get the call. So never mind about splitting this game into thirds.
Should have never brought it up.
Probably shouldn't have. But still, credit to Tommy Lamb. Even after the leadoff walk in the fourth, got the double play and then retired the next four batters after that. And unfortunately, a couple of hits here in this inning have chased him. And I'm sorry, they did not go. I saw Trapp warming up, but it was Parker Primo who had already finished throwing, and they're going to go to Parker. So by the time I got the glasses on down there, Primo had already stopped throwing, and he was already loaded in the barrel and ready to go. So it'll be Parker Primo who will get the call here out of the bullpen. His 9th appearance of the year. He's got a save, no record win-loss-wise. 6.75 ERA, 8 innings, 10 hits, 6 runs all earned, 8 strikeouts, 4 walks for Parker Primo.
Out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And again, with Parker's stuff, much like what we've seen with Tommy Lamb, when it comes to velocity, he's going to give you more of a overhand delivery. He'll come down 3/4 every now and then. But if you look at what you can expect from Parker Primo, it's not high velocity, but it's more that sidearm slot. 84, 87 is all that fastball, but he is going to work the slider, and that is what you're going to see a lot. Changeup as well. It's going to be more of the off speed and how he's able to locate that stuff from that sidearm angle. And we saw him going back to that homestand. Very effective in this spot. He was usually the 3rd or 4th man that they went to just to give the offense a different look, a different arm angle. And another guy, when you look at this arm angle, John, this is a guy that can induce a lot of ground balls, and boy, would that be huge in this moment in the game. And Cole Evans, you would think, would be a candidate to try to get the runners in scoring position, but Evans, who is one of the better hitters for Nebraska, 321 with runners at first and second, nobody out. We'll see if they allow him to try to drive the baseball.
Evans has grounded into 3 double plays. you still got a lot of time to work with. It'll be fascinating to see what they do here. He's going to swing away.
Drives that one into left field, and it will score a run. And winding up at third. Now runners at second and third for Nebraska, and you can hear the Nebraska faithful here waiting to erupt. Get that first run across. Nebraska does that successfully. Evans and Silva at second and third, while Brumball scores, and it's 5-1.
Well, attacked right on the first pitch. And Ed Service going to take the long, slow walk out there. It was a righty-righty matchup. Unfortunately, though, Parker Primo will see one pitch, unsuccessful, and a trip back to the dugout. And now we will see the lefty, Casey Trapp, as you've got the left-hander, Tyler Stone. Now, after Stone, you've got back-to-back righties. Actually, it's all righties the rest of the way, Overbeek being the switch hitter in the middle of the sandwich. Oh, once again, I messed up. It's Shane Curtin's going to get the call. I keep thinking they're going to go to Trapp because he was on the mound. He was warming up. I thought they're going to go lefty-lefty.
At some point they will, John. Just be patient.
But it's Shane Curtin who will get the call instead. Hey, it's my first game back. I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things.
I got you.
I figured, hey, lefty up. You got a lefty going.
Makes sense.
Now,
the matchup.
Of course, you do have a lefty here in Shane Curtin. And certainly Shane this year has been a workhorse.
Yes, he has.
Out of the bullpen, 11th appearance of the year, only a 1.62 ERA, a 1-0 record with 3 saves, 16 2/3 innings, 22 strikeouts, 10 walks, but a really tough spot here because it's second and third and nobody out. But it's those strikeout numbers that you really focus on here because he's averaged well over a strikeout per inning pitched. And you could really use a couple of strikeouts here to keep those runners from coming around and scoring.
It's a tall order to ask when you get into first and second situations with nobody out to get out of that unscathed for a third time, and that's what Creighton was trying to do. But give Nebraska hitters, and you're also going through the top of that lineup, even with Caden Brumball coming in to pinch hit for Sanderson. You mentioned it, John. Brumball, one of the most productive hitters for Nebraska, so it's not like they're just going to the bench and trying to get anybody to create a spark there. So Brumball leads things off. He gets the single. Then Riley Silva, right on the first pitch he saw, drives one into right field, and then it's the double by Cole Evans to make this a 5-1 ball game. So you have runners at second and third here in the sixth. So the Huskers still threatening. And if you are Curtin, you're just trying to limit the damage here. And what you're going to see from Shane Curtin, fastball, a little bit more of a heavy fastball at 90 miles an hour, but it's going to be the changeup. That's his best off speed. And that fastball, it's going to have some side movement, a little sink to it as well.
And now the wheels turning in the Nebraska dugout. Will Bolt is going to pinch hit Stone, and Will Jeske, the freshman, to turn the matchup back around to the hitter's advantage. The right-hander coming up. So out goes Stone, in comes Jeske as Nebraska tries to cut into this 4-run deficit. They've got their first run. A golden opportunity to draw closer.
Will Jeske with 17 at-bats on the season. Looks at a first pitch low and outside, ball one. He's got 6 hits, hitting .353. The freshman here in a big spot for Nebraska. Shane Curtin comes set, 1-0 pitch. That one just misses away. 2-0.
Good patience by the freshman. That's a tempting pitch to go after. It looked like it might have had part of the plate, and then it tailed away.
That's that changeup with movement there. Here's a 2-0 pitch. There's a little tapper back to home. Back to the mound, and actually Curtin goes to first, gets the out. He had a good look at Silva, and I got to say, John, I was surprised that he didn't go to the plate It wouldn't have been a force, but his momentum was carrying him that way. At the last moment, he decides to go to first. They do get the out, but another Nebraska run scores.
I am shocked he did not come home, because that was not a soft comebacker. He was in front of the mound. He had the play right in front of him. He looked at it, but then decided to go to first instead. I think they had a play at the plate and could have recorded the out and cut down the run.
So there is an out. It does move Evans to third. Here's Josh Karen. Karen has been very productive for Nebraska as of late, hitting .295, but he's got the power numbers for the Big Red. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That one's fouled off to the right, out of play. Yeah, you're right. It was a ball that was hit where, given where his momentum was and that he had a line of sight exactly where the runner was in Silva, surprised that he just didn't let his momentum take him right to home. This one misses away. It's 2-1.
It'd be one thing if he's falling off the mound either base side and, would have had to stop, plant, turn, and throw to make a good throw, but it was right in front of the mound.
2-1 pitch on the way. Fastball down the middle now evens it up 2-2.
Here's another look at it right there. I mean, he's got the play, but if you also notice, Hogan Helligo had come out a couple of steps in front of the plate, so it's almost as if they were planning on conceding the run.
There's a swing and a miss. The ball's in the dirt. Going to have to throw down a first to complete the strikeout. They do successfully. Hogan Helligo gets it over to McLean. That's a big strikeout for Creighton. There is 2 away now. If you could keep it right here, you'd feel okay. Despite giving up 2 runs, it's limiting the damage here and trying to keep that 3-run cushion that Creighton has.
It would feel like a victory if you can keep this at 5-2.
There's Garrett Anglum. Looks at a first pitch out of the zone, 1-0. Creighton has been living dangerously tonight. Finally in the 6th for Nebraska, they're able to punch through. There's a swing and a miss. Took off that changeup. Boy, the bottom just dropped out.
Yeah, it did.
One. Holy cow.
It didn't even register. We have to scroll up on our tablet here to see where that pitch ended up on the K zone.
Yeah, that is on the top of a shoe. This one misses away. The movement on the changeup, he's going to show the curve every now and then, but it's the changeup. That's his best off speed. It's been effective so far. 2 balls, 1 strike here on Garrett Anglum. Kicks and deals. That one's low and in the dirt. Now 3-1. Cole Evans at third for Nebraska. By far the most productive inning for the Huskers. 3 hits in this one. And they've got 2 runs across. 3-1 pitch way outside, so that'll put runners at the corners here with 2 outs. That'll bring up Joshua Overbeek. Overbeek 0 for 2 tonight.
It's only the 2nd walk given up by Bluejay pitching tonight.
And it started tonight with Malachi Vitak. An impressive start. He flooded the zone with strikes. And Tommy Lamb also coming in and doing a good job of getting outs. This ball lifted into shallow right field, twisted its way into foul territory, and that's going to get into the seats.
Now the kids run after it, but someone's already got it. Aw, shucks.
I believe it's a team of
purple
color.
It did look like there was some Little Leaguers.
Yep. It's a good night for the Little Leaguers.
The Bruins.
I'm assuming from Bellevue. That'd be my guess. 0-1 pitch.
And that's a reminder, the free clinic is this Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Steckes' clinic, 25th anniversary kids clinic after the ball game.
1-1 pitch, swing and a miss. And this time he goes that changeup again. It has curveball movement. It has top shelf movement, but that when you look at the spin on that thing, it's so tough to pick up. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Going to have to throw down a first once again. They do so. And a big strikeout recorded. And Creighton gets out of the jam. 2 runs do cross for the Huskers in their half of the 6th. They do that off of 3 hits with 2 big runners left on base. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's Creighton 5, Nebraska 2. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Nick Hanley alongside with John Bishop here at Charles Schwab Field. As we made our way to the bottom of the 6th inning. Nebraska getting on the board there in the top of the 6th. It's 5-2 Creighton. And for the Jays, it'll be 8-9-1. And still seeing Tucker Timmerman on the hill for Nebraska.
Well, why not? Even though Timmerman was greeted rudely with a 2-run single by Nolan Sailors, he has set down the next 5 batters after that, including the first 1-2-3 inning of the night by Husker pitching. So we'll see if he can keep this one close. Nebraska's finally tallied a couple of runs, and as we head into the latter third of this game, have made it a ball game. So the Jays offense needs to go back to work. We're going to have some defensive changes.
Yeah, we'll get those for you here after this pitch. Ben North will lead it off. Ben, 2 for 2 tonight, 2 singles, and he scored back in the 4th. First pitch inside, 1-0.
I know Overbeek has moved.
He's now at first.
You would be correct.
Overbeek over at first, and it looks like we've got Dylan Huft over at third. 2-0 pitch. That's in there for strike 1.
They're really testing the bounds of my brand new scorebook. I'm still getting used to using this new scorebook. I've been using the same scorebook for decades.
There's a little tapper over to third. Huff going to get his first play, and he mishandles it. Ben North will get there safely at first. So Dylan Huff comes in off the bench for Nebraska. Couldn't handle the slow roller from Ben North. A couple of tricky hops there. Kind of went between the glove and then the bare hand. And just could not handle it. So Creighton now with their lead man aboard here, and that will bring up Kyle Hess.
Well, for now, they have given him a single.
Oh, interesting.
I would say, I mean, it's the first game of the year. I shouldn't be questioning Glenn's integrity right from the first, but I thought that should have been fielded cleanly and should have been an error.
It's most likely going to be a close play, but yes, I would agree. There is a bunt attempt, and unsuccessful as Kyle Hess, strike 1.
I mean, if you're Dylan Huff, you're like, hey, that saved me my first error of the year.
And then if you're Ben North, I got a 3-hit game.
That's true.
All right, changing that over to a single. So Kyle Hess, see if he tries to square around again. He will show bunt. Pulls back. No, he did not in time. And kind of looking back now at Jason Harstick. Yeah, Kyle Hess not happy about that. A little chirping from the Creighton dugout as well. Connor Gandasi doesn't look like he also agrees with that.
Yeah, Connor with some pretty aggressive gestures. Not happy with that strike call.
So 0-2 on Hess. He's able to stay alive as he fouls that one off to the stands.
Glenn's already defending himself. He says, I'm wrong, I'm harsh, and I'm wrong.
That's fine.
I would like to see it again,
back,
but it sure seemed pretty obvious to me.
I'm with you. I actually had already written down E5.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I got a lot of ink now. I'm not going to doubt Glenn. Here's the 0-2 pitch upstairs.
Oh, you can
1-2.
doubt Glenn. Needs to get over himself. He's just lucky. He's lucky he doesn't have a guy like Vicente Cafaro still on this team. Vicente,
I remember him.
Oh my, would he work the poor SID?
Runner takes off, ground ball, and that is going to get up the middle. Going from first to third will be Ben North. And a well-placed ground ball off the bat of Kyle Hess. And again, John, with 2 strikes, Creighton able to reach base successfully via the base hit.
Yeah, that breaking ball just hung up there a little bit, and with both middle infielders converging, the ball managed to find its way right through the middle. And Ben North hustling from first to third. Ed Service says this team goes from first to third better than any team he's had in a long time. He said he wanted to show off the athleticism of this group, and we've seen it in the hitting numbers, but we've also seen it in their base running this season. And there's another example of turning the runners, getting them going, making contact, putting the ball in play, good things happening.
But now you turn it over to the top of the order. Here's Tate Gillen with runners at first and third, nobody out. So Creighton trying to get those runs back from the top of the 6th, still leading 5-2. There's a hack back of the screen. Tate Gillen was all in on that one. And if you look at this team, John, have noticed it's a strong team.
Yeah.
They fill out those uniforms pretty good. Rob Childers now for Nebraska going to come out. So he's going to talk to his hurler, Tucker Timmerman.
There is right-handed activity. I believe.
A couple of bodies out there.
That is Bobby Olson. I'm trying to read numbers backwards in the reflection in the glass. I believe that's 28. And there's also a lefty.
Oh, that's a good idea there.
Yep, Olson is the righty, and the left-hander in red is Jalen Worthy.
I can tell you've been in this ballpark quite a few times, because usually it's the yellow fence line that usually it clips off the number on the front part, but if you're using the mirror to your advantage,
it also helps when the camera guy is following along with what you're saying, and the director says, take that shot.
Yeah. Thanks, boys. You guys are the best.
Yes. Appreciate everyone here at Mecca for doing an excellent job on our video production. Let's see if Tate Gillen can do an excellent job here at the plate and plate a run here.
0-1 after the mound visit. That one's outside, 1-1. Tonight for Tate Gillen, he's reached twice via the air. He's 0 for 3 officially. His 4th AB in this one. Tate Gillen hitting a good-looking .326. This one's high and outside. Now it's 2-1. And you have good speed at first there, John, too, with Kyle Hess.
Yeah, and the outfield swung over into left. There's a lot of room to the pull side down the line, with Evans playing more right center.
There's a swing and a miss. Went after that one just on the outer half. Now 2-2. This is a big pitch here for Timmerman, trying to get that first out. See if Tate Gillen can battle away. This one is lifted into shallow left field. And Anglum has a beat on it, makes the catch, comes in. And now the runner will take off from first to second. Good heads-up base running there by Kyle Hess. As soon as that throw came in, and he just sort of, I believe if I was looking at the runner, so did he overthrow the cutoff? Is that where the read was?
I was keeping an eye on the runner
at
third,
I was
but
doing
that's
the same thing too.
Excellent base running by Kyle Hess. He tagged, and you don't see that very often. On a shallow fly ball to left, a runner tagging and going first to second.
Yeah, with the runner right in front of Garrett Anglum. And it was after the throw came in is when Kyle Hess decided to take off for second, and he was in there easily. So it is the first out recorded, but now you have two runners in scoring position here with one out, and that brings up Nolan Sailors. So you got Sailors and Clifford that you got to deal with if you're Timmerman.
It also takes the routine double play out of order. Not that Sailors is a great double play target necessarily, but it's a lot easier to manage first to third. Plus, even if you don't get a double play ball, you've still got a force out possible at second base. Now, you don't have that force play.
It's little things like that, and they're going to intentionally walk Nolan Sailors. So we've got a bases loaded situation for Nolan Clifford. Coming back from injury, Nolan Clifford with that .531 batting average, 26 hits and 49 at-bats. He came back this last weekend, and Clifford tonight is 1 for 2.
Well, need we say much more? Creighton with 3 grand slams this year, 2 from one guy, and no place to put Nolan Clifford. This is a golden opportunity. This feels like a huge momentum part of this game. If Nebraska escapes with no damage, huge lift after scoring 2 runs in the top half. Creighton strikes back, all momentum shifts back to the home team.
First pitch, fastball away. So Nolan on the season, we mentioned the numbers, 21 runs driven in. He's got 3 doubles and 3 bombs. 1-0. This one is lifted into shallow left field. Anglum going to come in on it. Racing in, makes the catch. It's not deep enough to drive in a run, but the throw goes over the head of the catcher. Now the play at the plate is in time. Wow. That one was overthrown to the catcher. The pitcher, it gets a fortuitous bounce off the net, and great heads-up defense by Nebraska on the trailer, which I believe was Dylan Huff from third, who was able to get the tag applied to Ben North and keep Creighton from scoring, and that will end the inning.
And there will not be a challenge. What a break for Nebraska, but backing up the play. We'll watch it one more time, and trailing on the play. Yeah, Huff trailing in from third. It was a terrible throw from left, but a heads-up play. We'll watch it one more time, but it went over the catcher's head, but Timmerman backing up the play, got it, fed his teammate in time, in motion, and you talk about a momentum lift. Now all the momentum is with the Nebraska dugout. And
we will see if they can take advantage of that when we come back. Score remains Creighton 5, Nebraska 2. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Boy, it was a wild end to the bottom of the 6th inning as Creighton looked like they were primed to add more runs, and they are turned away. 5-2 as we've made our way to the 7th inning. It's 8-9-1 for Nebraska as Dylan Carey now at 1-1.
That play will go 7-1-5, but really it was an overthrow of the catcher.
That one is low, 2-1.
The play, it was a shallow fly to left. Anglam's throw to the plate. The runner was not tagging, but the throw to the plate was way high.
There's a tapper right in front of the plate. Helligo, it's a fair ball. It throws down to first for the first out.
The throw was poor, but a great job by Timmerman backing up his catcher, and off a deflection was able to gather it up, and then he hit his teammate Dylan Heff, the third baseman, running in from third, and the tag was actually applied on the back of Ben North before he got to home plate. A very awkward looking play, but brilliantly executed and saving what would have been a terrible error.
Yeah, it was a heck of a play by Huff to trail that and to make that tag. Everything had to go right, and they do it. It's a huge break for Nebraska. And you mentioned the momentum, but getting that first out right there, Dylan Carey going down. Now it's Rhett Stokes. 9-hole hitter, swings and misses at the 90-mile-an-hour fastball from Creighton.
Well, this is where Shane Creighton needs to do his job in trying to stop the momentum that Nebraska seemingly has right now.
1 ball, 1 strike. That one is low and outside with the breaking ball, 2-1.
And for the most part, the Jays pitching has done an excellent job. They've only allowed 5 hits. They've only walked 2 batters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts tonight.
2-1 pitch, foul back to the screen, evens it up.
Momentum can always be stopped by good pitching.
You see it in baseball when you have a big inning, you want to come right back in defensively, get the shutdown inning. Well, for Creighton, you're right, John. This is a situation where you can bring it right back to your dugout. Curtain set, 2-2 pitch on the way. Staying alive is Rhett Stokes as he fouls that one back to the screen.
And sometimes all it takes is getting outs at home plate, right? Yep. And twice tonight, Nebraska has cut down runners trying to score.
Yeah, early in the game, and then right there. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss! Creighton recording another strikeout. Shane Creighton with his 3rd strikeout, and there are 2 away here in the top of the 7th.
Climbs the ladder with a fastball. It was off the plate, and Rhett Stokes could not catch up to it. And the Blue Jay bullpen, these strikeouts have really started to rack up. That's the 3rd strikeout for Creighton. Tommy Lamb had 3.
Here's Caden Brumball, came in to pinch hit for Case Anderson. Back in the 6th, he singled and scored. As he looks at a pitch outside. Brumball, a .348 hitter. Fastball in there, 90 miles an hour. 1-1. And you are 1 hitter away from having a very lively Creighton dugout. This one misses inside, 2-1.
Now these 2 teams love to show emotion against each other, and Nebraska feeling good after what happened in the last inning. You can shut them down right here with 1 more good at bat.
2-1 pitch. That one's ripped into center field. Tate Gillen running back. It's going to drop in front of him. Now it gets behind him. Brumball rounding first. He's in his second, easily rounding second, on his way to third. The throw to third is high. It's backed up, but you have a triple for Caden Brumball. And Nebraska has a runner 90 feet away.
It's not a team that hits a lot of triples, and it's Brumball's first triple of the season, and it was a ball that was misplayed by Gillen. At first, Gillen, I think, thought he had designs at going after it and making the diving catch, and then noticing that the ball hit the ground, his momentum had already taken him past it, so he overran the play, so the ball gets behind him and it rolls all the way to the deepest part of the ballpark. And Brumbaugh, normally in a situation like that, you might encourage your runner, hey, just take second base. Don't get that last out at third, but Brumbaugh had his running shoes on and took off and got to third easily.
There's Riley Silva, looks at an off-speed pitch, first pitch strike. And you're right, Brumbaugh, as he rounded second pretty aggressively, he almost lost the tire there. The legs were spinning a little bit. You wondered if he was going to be able to keep his footing. He does so. Off-speed outside now, 1-1 here on Riley Silva. Riley Silva tonight is 1 for 3, singled and scored in the 6th. Runner at third, 2 outs here in the top of the 7th. Creighton leading 5-2. There's a bunt, but it's foul.
This is a Nebraska team not built like last year's Nebraska team. They slugged really well. They hit a lot of home runs. This team now is a little more small ball based, trying to surprise Creighton's defense, who's been a little shaky tonight with a couple of errors.
Shane Curtin in a battle here with Riley Silva. Good speed at the plate. Breaking pitch outside, 2-2. You just get the feeling another big spot in this game, much like we saw in the top of the 7th, or excuse me, in the top of the 6th inning. There's a ground ball over to second. Hess gloves it over to first. It gets away from Ben North. The throw is on the inside of the bag. They try to flip back and unsuccessfully try to get Silva at first. So another run scores. It's now 5-3 in favor of Creighton.
And that's going to go as an infield hit, I think. Yeah, it's already posted. That's a very tough play. Yeah. Kyle Hess having to charge, and now Hess appears to be injured.
Oh, boy.
Hess was charging the play, and he had to throw with all his momentum, carrying him to home plate, and now he is grabbing his left leg, and he is in a lot of pain right now in a seated position out by second base, and he is grabbing that ankle.
It's the left ankle there as he was coming in and making the plant. And I'm not sure if it would have been actually on the throw or as he was charging in on that ball. He's going to get up and try to walk a little bit here.
Man, he is smarting right now.
And you think about it, John, this infield has just been decimated by injury. You get Nolan Clifford back in the lineup. Kyle Hess getting the start at second. Now remember, Sherman, and I believe Sherman is going to be making his way out.
Yeah.
Playing a lot of second base, and so Matt Sherman is coming into second. You got some depth there, but it's just amazing how many injuries this team has had to withstand. So Hess will limp off. He looks like he's walking a little bit better.
It was hard to tell there looking at the replay. I mean, obviously he's having to plant on the run and throw across his body, and the throw was just a little bit wide of first. So obviously it was a misstep of some kind and something that turned his ankle, but man, you get a play at the plate, and then it looks like the inning's going to be over, and then a misplay in the outfield leads to a triple, and Silva drives in the run on the infield hit. And Nebraska now feeling really good, even though they're still down by 2 runs. But right now, they have got all the momentum. They've scored 3 unanswered, and this Creighton defense has been, at times, a culprit. Again, if Tate Gillen plays that more traditionally in center, it's no better than a double.
Right.
But possibly even a single. And now Shane Curtin is going to come out of the game, and we're going to get the 5th Creighton relief pitcher as things are getting a little more snug here in the 7th.
And going back to Tate Gillen in center field, it's an unenviable situation because that ball is dropping. You're coming in so aggressively, but then at the last moment it drops. So you know at least your mind is telling you got to keep the ball in front of you, but that aggressiveness, you tend to overrun it. That ball skips behind you, and then you're in a no-win situation. It's just a guy trying to make a play there in that moment, and unfortunately it hurts them to the tune of 1 run. You still got the lead. You still have a chance to get out of this thing maintaining that lead, but you're right. Nebraska, with what they were able to do in the previous inning and turning Creighton away, they were 1 hitter away from getting nothing in response, and Creighton having the momentum back. But now, again, as you mentioned, John, Nebraska feeling good. They're able to add another run, so they go back-to-back innings in getting a 2 spot and now a 1 spot here in the top of the 7th. And a game that, at least up until the 6th inning, was controlled by Creighton.
Mason Cook will be the 5th Blue Jay pitcher of the night. For Mason, a 1.84 ERA, a 2-0 record, his 12th appearance, which is tied for the team lead with Daniel Hammond. 14 2/3 innings, 11 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned, but 24 strikeouts to only 4 walks. And for Mason, you just need to get this 1 out here. And of course, now what you wonder is, unfortunately, with the added stress of these last 2 innings, Creighton, who was set up to possibly maybe pitch no more than 3 or 4 pitchers tonight, now is on to their 5th pitcher. And if you're going to ask Cook to finish this game, he's going to have to go 2 1/3 innings to do that in only a 2-run game for the moment.
And he has been one of their more reliable relievers in his time here at Creighton, and he's going to have a little bit more of the power stuff. You got a fastball that can top out at 95. He's got a great cutter. A lot of shape on the slider as well. And they are going to ask Mason Cook to keep it here. And I'm with you, John, at least to come out in the 8th if all goes well here. And that's an if.
Yeah, it is.
And that's it. That's what we've come to expect in this series. You and I both knew, we knew 5-0. That probably wasn't going to be enough, or that wasn't going to be your final here. Nebraska, a lot to say about that. So here's Cole Evans, a very dangerous hitter for Nebraska with a runner at first. He represents the tying run for the Huskers here in the 7th. There's a slider that misses away, 1-0.
Fastball, 90 to 94. Cutter, slider, as you just mentioned. That cutter has been his best off-speed pitch. He's gotten a lot of swing and miss off of it.
1-0 pitch, swing and a miss on the slider. 1 ball and 1 strike here on Cole Evans.
Well, you'd like to take a little bit of the pressure off the defense right now and just get another strikeout.
Evans got the scoring started for Nebraska in the 6th. He had a 2 RBI double. 1 for 3 tonight. There's a little tapper foul over to first, as Will McLean was begging that thing to come back into fair territory.
It did look like it had a little English on it, and of course it stayed on the dirt. When you never know when it's on the dirt which way it might go, but unfortunately for Will and Creighton it does not, but it's now a 1-2 count.
2 outs here in the top of the 7th. A 5-3 ball game in favor of Creighton. Cook comes set. Checks Silva at first with good speed. A long look. Here's the 1-2 as Silva takes off. It's outside. The throw to second is not in time. And Silva has another stolen base. Now 17 on the season for Riley Silva.
And honestly, Mason really was not paying a lot of attention to him over at first, which is kind of unusual. But right now, you're just focused on that guy at the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second, top of the 7th. Cook comes set. Here's the pitch. Just stays alive as he fouls that one back to the net. You're seeing a heavy dose of off-speed from Mason Cook.
Evans is a good contact hitter. He's only struck out 12 times, though one of them was tonight.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Did he go around? Yes, he does! And a punch out. Well, they're going to say he did go around, so it's a strikeout swinging. It's a huge strikeout recorded by Mason Cook. to retire the side. For Nebraska, though, they get 1 run off 2 hits. No errors and 1 runner left on base. Stretch time here at Charles Schwab Field. It's a tense one. It's Creighton 5, Nebraska 3. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Nick Hanley, John Bishop with you at Charles Schwab Field. Ben Gieser back in our 1620 The Zone studios on what has been a wild one here. It's a 5-3 baseball game in favor of Creighton as they lead their crosstown rival Nebraska. When we say a wild one, is it's really picked up in favor of Nebraska in the 6th and 7th. They had 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. Creighton got 2 runs in the 2nd and then 3 runs in the 4th. Creighton with 10 hits, Nebraska with 7, and each team has committed 2 errors tonight. It'll be Teddy Dieters to lead things off for the Jays. First pitch in there for strike 1. Casey Dice now in for the Big Red. Their typical closer. Swing and a miss at that one. Casey Dice coming in with a 2.25 earned run average. This will be his 9th appearance. He has 5 saves. He's thrown 8 innings, allowing 6 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He struck out 5 and walked 2. This one is popped up in the infield. It'll be playable. And it looks like, no, it goes off the glove. And in the second, in the throw zone in time to get Teddy Dieters, who got aggressive. It was a sky ball. It goes off the glove of Joshua Overbeek. He couldn't make the play, but alertly gets it to second to get Teddy Dieters, as this game has just completely gone sideways as far as what to expect on routine plays and then what comes after it.
Oh my goodness, that is the 3rd base runner thrown out on aggressive base running tonight. And on this one, it's so unorthodox because it's such a sky-high pop-up, and of course these guys are always running out their pop-ups. Very tough play for Overbeek because you have to go over the pitcher's mound. That's a big reason why he couldn't make the catch. Plus you had the wind blowing, so it took it away from him. But once again, Nebraska keeping their heads in the game and not letting an overthrow or a bad play cost them too much. And alertly, Overbeek is able to throw to second and get Dieters in plenty of time. Unbelievable the bad luck Creighton has had running the bases tonight.
And it's Colby Canales up in the count 3-0. He will get a 4-pitch walk, and so he will make his way down to first.
And wouldn't you know who won the pony? And it happens again.
Your guess is as good as mine in this one and how this thing is going to wind up. My goodness.
All right, so that play, it will go as a single.
Yes. I think that's what they were waiting to see if it went off the glove. So it was a delayed call.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see, and I think they were seeing if it went off the glove of Overbeek. I think it just missed his glove, so they're going to officially give him a hit.
So it goes as a single and then 3-6 put out.
Wow.
Or no, 3-6-4.
Yeah.
Did the shortstop grab? Sorry, so Overbeek missed it, but the shortstop, Carey, was the one who threw to second. So it's out at second, 3-6-4. And then immediately Canales walks on 4 pitches.
And now Rob Childers comes out to the mound, and most likely we are going to get a pitching change. And yes, we see a Nebraska reliever making his way out from the right field bullpen. So Casey Dice, who got the pop-up, so you got the pitch you wanted there, and even though it didn't initially result into the out, you get the out and heads-up play, but then the 4-pitch walk. And especially in this stage of the game, and John, you know Rob Childress very well.
Yeah.
He's got little patience for not being able to find the strike zone, especially at this point of the game. And so now you will have, looks like, Jalen Worthy.
Yes, you will. Jalen Worthy, the 2.38 ERA, 2-0 record. His 9th appearance, he's got a save, 11 1/3 innings. 10 hits, 3 runs all earned, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks for Worthy, the sophomore left-hander, who will become the 6th pitcher of the night for Nebraska. And again, you're bringing him in as the lefty to deal with left-handed hitting Will McLean. But keep in mind, while the Jays have been in the lead since the 2nd inning, they've had a man picked off tonight.
Yep.
They've had a man trying to score from first on a double into left center or right center field, thrown out at the plate. Then you had the very awkward play at the end of the 6th on the overthrow on a shallow fly ball to left with a runner at third base. And now this play where you have a shallow pop-up and Dieters is thrown out hustling towards second base. So this game could look very different right now. It could feel a lot more comfortable if you're a Blue Jay if any one of those plays goes Creighton's way. And again, Creighton is going to be aggressive. Tonight, it just hasn't paid off.
You're absolutely right. And you don't ever want to take that away from a team. You're going to do more harm than good.
Right.
You got to give Nebraska a lot of credit. They've done a good job of sticking with the play, being able to back up some errant throws. And you have yourself in a situation where you're in the 7th with the lead. 1 on, 1 out. Worthy on for Nebraska. McLean the hitter. The shift is on. Pickoff attempt over to first. So Zukowski now comes in to the ball game. He will run for Canales. Will McLean tonight 1 for 3. First pitch, fastball, just outside, 1-0.
And you can tell that Zukowski not as comfortable right now trying to get the read of this left-hander. He was going back towards first on the delivery.
Worthy kicks and fires. That fastball's in there at 90 miles an hour, strike 1. Zukowski, as John mentioned, trying to get a read here on Worthy. 1-1 pitch. Took something off that one. It's just high and outside, 2-1. McLean singled and scored back in the 2nd, hitting .287 on the season. 25 hits and 87 at-bats. Pickoff throw over to first, not in time. Zukowski in there safely.
Yeah, he's not getting much of a read at all right now on Worthley's move. And it's a tough one because you're cold off the bench, just coming into the game. You got a lefty on the mound, and you don't want to make a mistake.
2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Swing and a miss at that fastball, now 2-2 as he went upstairs. Jalen Worthy out of Lincoln East High School. One of 21 players in this game from the state of Nebraska. 2-2 on the way. Swing and a miss. Out number 2 recorded. First strikeout for Worthy. And that will bring up Hogan Helligo.
Well, we've seen Hogan get some good swings tonight. He hit the home run to lead off the scoring in the 2nd. Almost hit a 2nd home run his next time up. And now getting a chance to face the lefty. And once again, the shift will be on for Helligo, who is a pull hitter. The second baseman, Stokes, is going to come all the way over to the other side of the second base bag and load up that left side of the infield.
First pitch to Helligo, pokes it foul off to the right out of play. Hogan tonight has displayed the power, a 2-run shot back in the second inning. He grounded out to third back in the fourth, but almost got a second home run in that at bat. It went just foul. Took something off that one upstairs. 1-1 here on Hogan Helligo. Creighton has not scored in the last 2 frames, while Nebraska has scored 3 in the last 2 innings. Swing and a miss on that fastball, 92 miles an hour. That's where we've seen Worthley top out since he's made his way into this game.
Worthley, body language right now exuding confidence.
Yeah. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Fans into it here. Another pickoff attempt over to first, and having to pick that one is Overbeek. Getting a couple of the boos from the Creighton side of it.
His fans have been into it tonight.
Yeah, they have.
I love it.
Worthley set at the belt again. Here's the 1-2. There's a ground ball over to third. Huffed up with it over to second for the force and the third out, and the side is retired. No runs off 1 hit. No errors in 1 runner left on base. We played 7 here at Charles Schwab Field. It is Creighton 5, Nebraska 3. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. We are through 7 here at Charles Schwab Field. It has been a wild one, to say the very least. Creighton holding on to a 5-3 lead as we have made our way into the 8th inning once again. To take us home, here's John Bishop.
Well, this one has lived up to it. Hasn't been the cleanest played game in the world, but it's had plenty of excitement. We've had runners thrown out trying to take the extra base. We've had misplayed balls that turn into fortuitous opportunities for the defense. We've had a home run tonight, and we've got a close game. 6 outs to get, only a 2-run cushion, which once was 5. Mason Cook to face Dylan Huff to lead things off here in the Nebraska 8th, and the first pitch is inside, ball 1. The 1-0 pumps it in there right down the middle for a strike. Huff's first at bat tonight. He replaced Jeske, who replaced Stone. Here's a bouncing ball up the middle at short. Up with it is Clifford, throws across in time for out number 1. Normally you're not nervous when you see the ball put in play, but the Jays defense has been a little less than its usual great self at times tonight. And of course, with this game going as it has, right, you know, it's just, you never know what kind of weird things are going to happen. We still got plenty of time left for some more weirdness. There's a strike on the outside corner. Josh Caron tonight singled, left stranded in the second. Grounded into a double play in the fourth. Struck out swinging in the sixth. The 0-1. High. 1 ball and 1 strike. 5-3 Blue Jays. We're in the 8th. Here's the pitch. And he fouls this one off on a 3/4 swing. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes, trying to manage the middle of the order here. And if you can do so successfully, you'd face the bottom third of the order in the 9th. Hopefully with that 2-run lead. Here's the pitch. Popped up, down the line. It's going to twist foul into the seats, giving chase Teddy Dieters, but not enough room. Creighton has out-hit the Huskers 11-7. Each team with 2 errors. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Fastball up in the eyes. And Josh Karen whiffs for the 10th Creighton pitching strikeout tonight, if my math is right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Did I count that right?
You did. Good work. That change in the eye level there. He reached back 93 miles an hour on that fastball. That was excellent put-away pitch there.
Here's Garrett Anglem, who's been aboard once with a walk. He's struck out twice, including once on a foul bunt attempt. And Nebraska will look back at this game as much as Creighton might lament the runners being thrown out on the base paths. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss. Waved through that breaking ball at 85. Nebraska had back-to-back innings where the first 2 men reached and they failed to score. No balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. The pitch. Swing and a miss! And a big yell for Mason Cook. And an easy 1-2-3 inning in the top of the 8th. Slider got him. And we head to the bottom of the 8th. Creighton trying to add some insurance. They lead their in-state rivals 5-3. Blue Jay baseball on 1620 The Zone. Nebraska will go back to the bullpen for their 7th pitcher of the night. It will be Grand Island senior right-hander Rans Sanders, a transfer from Omaha, who made 13 relief appearances a year ago for the Mavs and accumulated 4 saves. Sanders has not allowed an earned run this year. He's allowed 1 run unearned on 3 hits in 7 2/3 innings and has 2 saves. He comes on here trying to keep this a 2-run deficit. Nebraska down to their final 3 offensive outs. It will be Ben North, Kyle Hess, and then back to the top of the order for Tate Gillen, due up in the Blue Jay 8th, 5-3. As the Bob Carey Bridge is lit up in rainbow colors tonight. Headed towards and over the Missouri River. Ben North tonight is 3 for 3. Singled, left stranded in the 2nd. Singled and scored on the error by the pitcher Caleb Clark in the 4th. And then was one of 2 Blue Jays thrown out at the plate on a very unorthodox 7-1-5 putout on a shallow fly ball to left. that was overthrown to the plate, but backed up by the pitcher, and then trailing the play, the third baseman Huft tagged out Ben North. As North fouls it back, 0-1. So North trying for a 4-hit night. The pitch in there off speed for a strike. 6 foot 190 senior, Rans Sanders, native of Grand Island. Quickly ahead of North, 0-2, and the pitch way outside. The Huskers in their half of the ninth, trailing by at least 2, will be Overbeek, Carey, and Stokes. The 7, 8, 9 hitters in the Nebraska lineup. There's a check swing. He went around. That's strike 3. And Ben North is retired for the first time tonight on the 7th strikeout by Nebraska pitching. I misspoke. Of course, Kyle Hess had to leave the game due to an injury earlier. It's Matt Sherman who took over defensively to get his first crack at the plate tonight, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. Hess ended up 2 for 2 tonight, and we hope he's okay. He turned an ankle trying to make a play back in the 6th. That ball bounces at the plate and actually came up and hit Matt. It was a deflection by the catcher, so it's not a hit batter. 1 ball and 1 strike, 1 out. The pitch. There's a swing and a foul back. Matt Sherman was Big East Player of the week ending March 11th. He has not had a hit since March the 17th. There's ball 2 inside. He is 0 for his last 19, this graduate senior from UW Oshkosh. So talk about going from the penthouse to the outhouse. The 2-2. There's a smash on the ground, but gobbled up. The second baseman shading over to the shortstop side of second makes the play, and there's 2 away in the Blue Jay 8th. They had the shift on. Stokes playing just to the left of the second base bag as we watch it from behind home plate. Made that play routinely. That'll leave it up to Tate Gillen. With nobody on and 2 out in the 8th, Blue Jays with a 5-3 lead, trying for their 6th win in the last 7 and their 9th win in the last 11 against their in-state rivals. Swing and a miss. Gillen reached on an error, scored in the 4th, reached on an error in the 2nd, was left stranded. The pitch. Missing inside is Sanders, and it's 1-1.
You mentioned Sherman in that drought. It's got to feel like an eternity for him right now.
There's a strike on the inside corner at 89, and it's 1-2. So Sanders doing a nice job here out of the bullpen. Just keep things at bay. 5-3 Blue Jays, bottom of the 8th. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Gillen, and he buckled him at the knees, came in too low. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's been kind of the beauty of this offense, John, is if one guy is struggling, someone else picks it up too, and it's been throughout the year.
And that miss low and inside, and the scoreboard was wrong. That was ball 4. I missed a pitch in that sequence. It'll be a walk.
That's all right.
We're all just getting back into the swing of things, apparently.
I like their scoreboard better than what your math was showing us right now.
Yeah. So here's Nolan Sailors. That's a big insurance run at first, but the Jays got a little work to do to bring him around. Sailors singled in 2 runs in the 4th. Here's the pitch. Miss low and in. Good block by Josh Karen. Really important right now to keep that runner out of scoring position. Gillen does have 11 steals this year, but remember, Nebraska, one of only 2 teams in the country that has had as few as 11 stolen base attempts against it all season. Runner not going, checked his swing, it's in the dirt, runner takes off for second, and he's got it. The pitch was in the dirt. A great read by Tate Gillen, who takes off and grabs the extra base. So for the first time tonight, the aggressive base running pays off for the Blue Jays. Let's see if they can make it pay off with a run.
Yeah, right on cue with talking about how aggressive. You're not going to take that element away from this team, even if it's led to a couple of outs here and there. And that's not only good speed shown by Gillen, but that's just good anticipation, good heads-up base running, reading that ball in the dirt, and being able to really explode off of that foot, get that jump, and get into scoring position.
Well, this is going to be the pitching change, and that's going to do it. Pitching change here, as that will be the end for Rand Sanders, and this will be the 8th Nebraska pitcher of the night, which by my count would be the 13th pitcher of the game.
Yeah, I think we hammered the over tonight. And that is going to bring in a very familiar face to a lot of Nebraska fans and a lot of Nebraska baseball fans, whether it be high school or college. Kyle Perry, one of the good guys in the game, will make his way in for Nebraska. Kyle Perry comes in with a 2.79 earned run average. This will be his 13th appearance. He does have 3 saves on the year. He's gone 9 2/3. He's given up 8 hits allowed, 3 runs, all 3 earned. He is yet to walk a hitter, and he has struck out 10 on the season.
Why don't you just say it for truth? He's old.
He is.
He's an old man.
And he'll be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, he is. This is his 6th year. He has pitched in each of the last 6 seasons. Now, injuries turned him down in both 21 and 22, and of course, you had the COVID year as well. So Kyle Perry has seen a lot, and he knows how important this situation is, as Rob Childress wants to keep that run from scoring and keep this a 2-run game with only 3 outs to play with.
I don't know if there's a pitcher on the Nebraska roster that knows this mound better than Kyle Perry as well. I think that's
I think
safe
he knows
to say.
just about every mound in the Midwest at this point. He knows every mound in the Big Ten. He knows every mound in the Midwest as much as he's been in there. But yeah, this is important because you still feel like, even though the Jays have done a nice job holding Nebraska at bay by getting some big pitches here these last couple of innings, it's still only a 2-run game, and it still feels like all it's going to take is a base runner for Nebraska, and all of a sudden that seed of doubt goes into that home dugout.
Now, you're absolutely right. The way this series has played out, the way tonight's game has played out, you just cannot take anything for granted here. Good opportunity here for Creighton.
So it's a 1-1 count inherited, and there's a strike on the outside corner to Nolan Sailors. So a lefty-lefty matchup, and it's a 1-2 count. Runner at second, 2 away. Bottom of the 8th, Jays 5, Huskers 3. The 1-2 pitch outside. It almost crossed up Josh Caron there. It looked like he was a little fooled by either the velocity or the movement on that pitch. He was lucky to keep it in front of him and actually never touched the ground. 2-2 the count. Perry works quickly. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt, another block by Caron, and now the count full 3-2, and you've got Nolan Clifford waiting on deck.
I mentioned the strikeout to walk ratio, 10-0 in strikeouts to walk. So you're now in that situation. And as a hitter, you know Kyle Perry's going to be around the zone, but those last 2 pitches nowhere close as he bounces him off the dirt, and we'll see what happens here.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. A look back at second. Gillen dancing around out there, and the pitch hit on the ground towards first, fielded cleanly by Overbeek, pitcher covering, and that will retire the side. So the Blue Jays do get a 2-out walk, but no runs and 1 man left. It'll be the 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up for Nebraska in the 9th against Mason Cook. It's Creighton 5 and Nebraska 3. You're listening to Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. Well, Mason Cook has done an excellent job out of the pen. He's retired all 4 batters faced after the Huskers pared the lead down to 2 in the 7th. He has struck out 3 of the 4 batters faced. We now head to the deciding 9th. It's Overbeek, Carey, and Stokes. If anybody gets on, Brumbaugh. 5-3 Bluejays. In the 9th, Overbeek is 0 for 3. He lined in to a double play in the 2nd and has struck out twice. Breaking ball misses low, 1-0. Overbeek trying to set the table here for a dramatic Nebraska rally. The pitch in there for a strike. Good off speed there by Mason Cook. Cook going for his 3rd save of the season. The pitch, fouled it off at the plate. And again, he's staying with the off speed right now. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cook with the cutter and the slider. Right now, he's really relied on that cutter.
He's getting that movement in on the hands of Overbeek. We'll see if he sticks at it.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He's into his wind, and the pitch, swing and a miss. He got him. Strike 3.
Well, that was clearly something they were looking at with Overbeek, where they wanted to come in on him. Those last 3 pitches attacking the hands and changing that eye level. You saw a couple elevated, but all 3 of those in on the hands. That break and good pitch execution. Great put away there.
3 straight strikeouts. 4 of the 5 batters faced have gone down via the strikeout. Here is Dylan Carey in the first pitch. Another cutter in there for a strike, 0-1. Carey doubled in the 3rd but was stranded. He bounced out to the mound and dribbled out to the catcher. Cutter missing outside here, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Here's the 1-1 pitch. In there at the knees for a strike, 1-2. Nobody aboard, 1 out. Top of the 9th, 5-3 Bluejays. The 1-2 pitch, skied in the air. Shallow center, drifting back at second is Sherman. He's got it, and there's 2 away in the 9th.
And again, the movement there, John. He goes in the outer half. It's elevated, but he's able to get that pitch in a spot that if you're making contact, the only thing you're doing is probably weak contact. So just Mason Cook's overall pitch execution in this appearance has been impressive.
Clay Bradford is going to hit for Stokes. Stokes went 0 for 3 tonight with a pair of strikeouts. So Nebraska goes to the bench, and the senior from Humboldt, Texas is the last hope for the Huskers here in the 9th. 2 away, nobody aboard. Jays lead 5-3. And time is called before the first pitch. That was an adventurous play there for Sherman. He kind of caught it very close to the body, almost had to trap it there in his armpit. Here's the first pitch to Bradford, and he misses just off the plate. This time started him with a fastball at 93 and just missed the outside corner. Here's the 1-0 offering. And it's high, ball 2. Brumbaugh due up next. He would be the tying run. 5-3 Bluejays in the 9th. 2 balls and no strikes. Mason Cook trying to nail this one down. Here's his pitch. Just outside, missed with 92, and it's 3-0. And now the Husker dugout starts to come to life. The 3-0 pitch. In there for a strike. He was taking all the way was Bradford. Bradford just 5 of 23 with 11 strikeouts and 5 walks. The 3-1 in there for a strike at the knees, and it's 3-2. Just at the bottom of the zone. K-Man of the pitch track says yes, that was a strike, a low strike, but a strike. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 5-3 Bluejays. Cook into his wind and the pitch. Did he check his swing? Yes, he did. Ball 4. Oh, boy. Tough call there for Brian Solier, but Solier says he did lay off that high fastball. And now the tying run comes to the plate with 2 outs, and it's Caden Brumbaugh, who in his last 2 at-bats off the bench for Sanderson has singled, scored, tripled, and scored. 5-3 Blue Jays. Drama in the 9th. They're going to play off the bag at first. Runner's going to take off. Here's the pitch. And where was that? That was a strike, and they called it high for a ball. Holy cow, that was in the zone. 1 ball, no strikes, the pitch. Low and outside, ball 2. And Ed Service is going to jog out. Boy, that first pitch had all of the strike zone. Nick Handley, TrackMan, agrees with us. It was clearly in the upper third of the zone. It wasn't even a borderline pitch.
I had to look down at TrackMan after I saw that it wasn't called a strike. I was watching the runner take off. You knew that was going to be uncontested, and immediately I just assumed that it was called a strike when it wasn't. Had to look there, and it was pretty much smack dab down the heart of the plate. So, but this is if you're Mason Cook, you got to be able to pitch around that. And I think that's what that mound visit was. Ed Service just calming a veteran down. He knows the situation.
2 balls and no strikes. This is the tying run at the plate. Here's the pitch. Right down the middle. Just challenged him with a fastball, and he swings through it. 2-1. Brumbaugh 2 for 2 with a pair of runs scored. 5-3 Blue Jays. Top of the 9th. Creighton has led the entire way, trying to hang on here. Here's Cook's 2-1. Swing and a miss. It's 2-2. Went back to the cutter and fooled Caden Brumbaugh. And now the Huskers again down to their last strike. Blue Jay fans rise to their feet. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Here's Cook's pitch. Breaking ball outside, 3-2. Riley Silva waits on deck. He would be the go-ahead run in the 9th. 3-2. Here she comes. Swing and a miss. Jays win. Jays win for the 9th time in 11 tries against their in-state rivals. Jays win. Mason Cook finishes off the last 2 1/3 innings, striking out Brumbaugh to end the threat, striking out 5 batters. And the Creighton Blue Jays are the first to hit blackjack, their 21st win of the year. 5-3 the final.
You know, John, you go back to the pitch sequence in that particular at-bat. Go back to the 2-2 pitch. Love the idea. Set up the slider on the outer half. It works away. You go with a similar pitch, but you're starting it on the inner half. That was such a good setup for what was to follow. Outstanding job by Mason Cook, who had to go through a little bit of adversity there, but you got a veteran pitcher. He knows the situation, even when he didn't get the call that you might have wanted there on that first pitch. He's able to work around it. A huge, huge win for Creighton in a midweek series now, a midweek game tonight and then a midweek game tomorrow night too, but to get that type of opportunity against a very good Nebraska team as well. Wow, what a night.
Blue Jays win it by the final of 5-3 as they defeat Nebraska against their 9th win in the last 11 meetings and their 6th in their last 7. And while it was a little more dramatic than we thought it was going to be, the first half of the game controlled by CU, the second half of the game arguably controlled by Nebraska, but despite some breaks and some heads-up defensive plays in the field, it was Creighton pitching, namely Mason Cook, who got the job done, and also a tip of the cap to Shane Curtin. 5-3 the final. Back with a final word right after this. You're listening to Creighton University Blue Jay Baseball on 1620 The Zone. the entire way you have to use your bullpen, and you, quote-unquote, only use 5 pitchers tonight, thanks in large part to what Vitak was able to do in the first third.
You're probably seeing a very similar amount of arms that Nebraska used if Malachi Vitak doesn't do that. And knowing that you have a midweek game again tomorrow and then conference play opens up this weekend where you want as many fresh arms as you possibly can, that's going to go down as one of the unsung heroes of this game. There's no question about it because you allowed your team to settle in. You're allowing that 2-run homer to stand and loom large early in that game, too, then to turn it over to your bullpen. And really, Tommy Lamb gave you a pretty good appearance there, too. So all in all, you look at the pitching, it was solid. You had some timely hitting. There were some at-bats that you probably would like to have back. And again, defensively for both teams, that needs to be tightened up a little bit. But all in all, you're going to look at that scoreboard and you're going to feel damn good about it.
Nebraska falls to 20-6, while Creighton improves to 21-4. And again, it's their 9th win in the last 11 times against Nebraska in this I-80 rivalry. The final line score: 5 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors for the Bluejays. Winning pitcher Tommy Lamb, 3-0. Mason Cook, third save. Cook struck out 5 of the 8 batters he faced. 5 of the 7 outs he recorded were via the strikeout. Offensive heroes tonight: Nolan Sailors drove in 2 runs, and Hogan Helligo hit his first home run of the season, a 2-run shot in the second. For Nebraska, 3 runs, 7 hits, 2 errors. Losing pitcher Will Walsh, he falls to 3-1. We will be back here tomorrow for yet another midweek game. New opponent, though, North Dakota State. We'll have coverage. We'll be shifting over to our sister station, 1180 The Zone, and we will be on the air just ahead of 6 o'clock. Want to thank Ben Gieser, our producer, back at 50th and Capitol. For my partner, Nick Hanley, I'm John Bishop, repeating the final score. It was Creighton 5 and Nebraska 3. You've been listening to Creighton University Blue Jay Baseball, a production of Creighton University Athletics and NRG Media Omaha. Good night from Charles Schwab Field.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, thank you. Yep.
Can't say Dave Adams because he's no longer operating.
I know. Well, I mean, I guess technically it's for 3 days or 4 days or whatever.
So is he staying in radio, you know? I don't know. I haven't heard. I wasn't in the station today because I came straight here, so I just heard from Nick what was going down, but I didn't.
When I was leaving, he was in the conference room with Keeley, and he said he's going somewhere warmer, but he couldn't say until tomorrow because he's going to wait for them to announce it. So I assume it's in radio. But
Yeah, I mean, he's been doing radio his whole life, so I don't know if. Who knows?
And then here's the other good thing. Keeley's going to take his office because she wants to be back in the field.
No.
That's what Mark told us when we met. I said, "Oh, for like a temporary?" And he goes, "No." So I don't know. Does that mean you want to? But no, she just wants to be down more programming.
Okay.